And then just started reading the Ask Awada book. So aside from working a bunch, that was pretty much it. But I'm glad it's the weekend and hope everyone's doing good tonight.
Yes.
What Leighton game are you playing?
You're interested in Leighton. I actually wanna. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Curious Village.
You starting with the first one.
Is that the first one? I just randomly got one pretty cheap off Mercari and just went for it.
Yeah,
I think that was the first one.
it is.
Because the one on the Switch apparently isn't that good. It's like a completely different game, which sucks. Because really quick. I actually played the crossover Phoenix Wright versus Leighton a while ago, and it kind of got me interested in playing Leighton. The only problem is I have to like hunt down the DS games, and I don't want to do that. Was there like a rumor where there was supposed to be like the first Leighton game on Switch or something? I said rumors of reading that.
I know there's been talk of more Leighton games coming, yes, but I can't think of it off the top of my head what other ones are coming. But
considering number 5 doesn't want to make localized games anymore, who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, that series is just so good, and I feel like it's kind of like fluctuated and gone dormant a bit. But I loved those games. Those are one of the few games that I had that my wife, like, I'd play through it and I'd pass her the cart and she would play it while I was playing the next one. Because the puzzles are just so fun. Like, I love a puzzle game with a cool story. Yeah, yeah, they're hard to track down, some of them now, but those games are fantastic. Yeah, Curious Village was the first one. The second one, I think, is the best one. So after you get that, you should get the next one for sure.
Nice.
I mean, if the game has like as big of a plot twist as the crossover is, I'm kind of interested to play it. Because I'm not gonna spoil anything, but there was like a random crossover in the Phoenix Wright Leighton game that just had me like going like, okay then, like what the fuck was that about? And stuff. I'll just leave it at that.
right. Yep. So anything else you play in there, Johnny?
Me and Vin, we had our Mayhem matchup this week, so jumped on that for a little bit. We did battle mode in Super Mario Brothers 3.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
I had never never done that before.
I got completely spanked by Johnny.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I'm not gonna brag, but yeah. Sorry, dude.
yeah, I mean, I'm not one to make excuses, but I was definitely off my game.
Hey, man, no judging.
I was thinking that the battle mode was working more like the NES version, where you knock over the Koopa, you kick the Koopa, and you get the coin. Well, I was knocking over the Koopas, but the coins were coming out of the pipe, and Johnny was just swooping. Sorry,
I was swooping, man.
Was just swooping in and just getting them all from me.
Nice. So you're gonna want a rematch then? Is that it?
Yeah, I think we should, man. We should. I still had fun. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, by the way, that was me with the table dragging earlier. No bodies, just the table.
Okay.
Okay.
I had to reposition my mess because my kitchen and like the whole front of my house is in like an epic state of spring cleaning, reorganization, all this it's spring.
Yes,
big
it's spring
coming.
when that goes on. And it sounds like, Matt, you were going through the same thing, kind of.
First off, is my audio, is it better now?
You do
Yes,
sound...
it sounds good.
Sounds good.
My computer took an update, so it reset all my settings. So, yeah, I'm working on a plumbing project so I have a bathtub that works upstairs. So, yeah.
That's his spring project.
Well, it's not. I'm not replacing the tub. I'm replacing all the plumbing. I've ripped out the hall closet and stuff.
That's crazy. You're a crazy guy. That's crazy, man. I hate plumbing. Because I had to do the small bathroom. I had to take out the toilet, the sink, and all that kind of stuff, and put in new stuff. And I hate it because it's any small flaw and you got a leak.
Well, my father-in-law's helping me. Are we recording?
Yes, we are. We're actually streaming.
I'll just wait then.
Okay then. He's going to wait. That's a good idea. I don't want anything live out there on the internet.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Matt, you've been so busy with the bathroom. Have you been able to play anything?
Been playing a little bit of Monster Hunter Rise. Checking out my first Monster Hunter game.
Nice.
And then, but I'll admit, Sea of Thieves has kind of sucked me back in. So
I saw you play a little bit of that on your stream. That game is very intriguing. I'm kind of interested in that, and it is available on the cloud, so I'm tempted.
Cloud and Game Pass.
Yes, I'm tempted, but it's like the time factor is the big thing because there's still games I want to play on my Switch, so that's what's holding me back.
I get it.
All right, Sam, what you been up to, man?
I have also been playing Monster Hunter.
Yeah, leading
Quite a
other
lot.
new people into the charge of taking on their first monsters.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to help me, I just unlocked the 8-star hub quest
Oh my gosh,
to fight the Elder Dragon. So have a good time.
you're on 2, Matt? Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm only on level 2, star level 2 or whatever that is, quests. So I'm way behind you, man. But that's awesome. But there's a few other players though. I think that probably would definitely jump in with you. Have you tried? Did you check in with Gary to see where he's at?
I haven't heard from him. I don't know.
Okay, because he's been playing like crazy too. So I don't know what level he's at, but he's a monster.
And
hunter
I mean,
fiend.
you can take it fast, you can take it slow, kind of too. So
Yeah.
you really want to like craft all the armors. Like you could spend forever just in the first 3 ranks.
Yeah, right. The way I've been playing is the exploratory type stuff. Just as soon as a new land opens up, I'm exploring everything. Oh, removing the fog, trying to see what's there, seeing what kind of. I didn't know this until I started playing more and more of the first one that they give you, the first map. But finding those artifacts and stuff. So I thought that was really cool to find some of those, and then I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
the sub camps are nice to find too.
Yes.
Just for the future.
Yeah,
when
I
you
thought-
don't want to explore, you can just fast travel to them.
How do you build there? Because do you get something?
You
to
have
be
to
able
find it, and then you get a little sub mission.
Okay.
The kind that you can do anytime. It's usually like hunt this many of this small monster.
Okay. Yeah, I found a sub camp there in the desert one, and didn't know what to do with it. It was like I knew I had to find a way to build my camp there, but
Yeah, you go back, and the merchant will want to talk to you, and he'll give you a quest. And when you clear the quest, you'll unlock the sub camp.
nice. Okay, now I know what to do. Next thing I'll be doing in Monster Hunter, do that so I can open up my sub camp. All right, who wants to go next? What else has everybody been playing? Don't everybody go at once.
All right. Well, I've aside from playing Monthly Mayhem with Johnny here and and the other guys, like I took on Dan from Retro Logic a couple weeks ago in Super Dodgeball, and oh man, that was just like I guess it was karma, because of the sweep that Johnny had on me. Must have been in retribution for how bad I beat down Dan. I mean, sorry, man, but but like it was just crazy. Like I think he was the USA team, and I ended up picking Russia, and I just dominated over him, and he's doing the stream, and he's yelling at the screen like, "Bro, why is it lagging? Go get it!" And I'm saying the same thing. I'm saying the same thing to my screen, and my kids are at home. They're telling me, "No, go that way. Get that." Man, that was a good time. That
Awesome.
was a really good time. I mean, other than that, I haven't really been doing all that much on the Switch. Jumped into Pac-Man 99 because I'm really enjoying the Battle Royale type games
Yeah.
that have been made. A little peeved that the format was the themes and stuff are not, you can't earn them the same way you
Oh,
would
yeah.
in
Okay.
Tetris 99 by playing through them. They're behind a paywall. You
Yes.
gotta buy them. Like, you gotta pony up the real money, which I don't know. It's Bandai's move, I guess. Since Pac-Man's their boy, they're gonna do what they want.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, that I was a little
I'll
disappointed
probably
in
just
that too.
play until I get number one. What's that?
I was a little disappointed in that too, with the paywall.
Yeah. I'll probably just play until I get number one, and then just stop.
The goal is number one, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody here follow Casey DeFreitas on MVC?
Yeah.
Where I went and actually watched her stream where she played it for the first time and she beat it her third try.
Yeah, she said
Or
she was
she-
going to stop.
Wow.
Yeah, after that, she has the 33%
Yeah.
win rate, and she was going to stop.
She's like
That's
the third
awesome.
try she got first place. I was like,
Yeah.
okay then, jeez.
Yeah.
Best I've done is 68.
Yeah. Yep.
That's like me on Tetris. I can't. I've broken the 50s into the 40s maybe, but just a handful of times. I thought I was good at Tetris, and I'm apparently not.
You soon find out. Like
Yeah, people are actually
Yeah.
good at Tetris.
I still like Tetris 99 the best, but
Okay.
I actually like Pac-Man 99 better than Mario 35.
Yeah,
I think Mario 35 didn't really work as a battle royale game. A lot of people liked it, but I think it's just because they like Mario.
and I think it was good for the short run that it did because I think they
Like,
recognized that.
Honestly, the first time I didn't play it for very long, and what it reminds me of is playing Mario Maker levels that are designed by a 5-year-old who just says, "Oh, I'm gonna put Goombas everywhere. It's gonna be the hardest level ever," and then you just jump over like all the Goombas in one jump, and it's like,
You know what? It could have
no, it
been.
wasn't.
It could have been 35 people creating the Mario Maker board, and then everybody had to go do that, at the same time. Actually, probably would have been better if it was that way. Everybody make 35 different boards, and then everybody's got to go play it. That would be
I think Pac-Man does the best job of any of them of making sure matches don't drag on. You don't have like a stalemate between the last couple people.
yeah, it goes
That was
quick.
real Mario 35.
Agree. Yeah, I'm not really a hack maniac per se, but I'll play it for a while. Tetris 99 is still my game. I mean, I must have achieved Tetris Maximus like 10 times at least.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get you on a video and teach
that's
us
my
how you do
jam.
it.
I still have yet to win Tetris 99. I've gotten second, I've gotten third a lot of times.
Hmm.
I guess I just can't stall out at the end of the game. I keep trying to clear lines the whole time. I guess that's my problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we got to find out what Vin's secret is, and you teach a new.
Well, becoming one with the controller and the blocks.
There you go.
Make the Tetrinimos an extension of your own body.
All right, there's our first lesson, guys. Nick, what have you been playing? You're awfully quiet down there in the corner. Maybe
I don't know. Can you
Oh yeah, there we go.
hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, so I've just been obviously playing Animal Crossing, but very much less than before, or than usual. Got myself into Story of Seasons, which is a farming game akin to Harvest Moon. And we haven't been on. I mean, it was a monthly deal, so I don't know. Did anybody else get to try the dodgeball? I can't remember the name of it anymore, but the dodgeball beta.
The Knockout City? Was
Yeah,
that it?
Knockout City.
Yeah, no, I didn't get to. I wanted to, but I didn't.
I played that a little bit.
Man, I am in for that game when it drops in May. I thought that was a ton of fun, and so did my son. And I got to tell you, it's probably one of the best betas I've ever played. Like, I mean, just connectivity wise, like on the internet, it just I didn't have any issues. I got into matches just fine. They played fine. I didn't drop. It didn't seem much like a beta to me, quite frankly. It seemed like it was ready to go. So that would probably be the game that I would say that since the last time we had a dinner table that I'm most pumped for that I've played.
Does it feel Fortnite-y where it's like everybody's going to get really good, or does it feel like there's like an equalizer kind of thing to it, like a Mario Kart?
You're definitely going to have people who rock out and get real good. I mean, there's no doubt. And I do so. No, I would say it feels like a Fortnite to me. And you're going to have people who really get good. I will say there's a lot more tactics involved in the game than I thought, with tackling and catching balls and being able to pass from teammates back and forth to charge a ball. There's multiple types of. I mean, I was really surprised. To be fair, when I went into it, I was like, well, I'm probably just going to play a game of dodgeball here and whatever. And when I started going through it, I was pretty impressed. And the tutorial they do is like a 6-level tutorial where you're not playing against people. They're just letting you get the feel of the game. But at any time they tell you, you're more than welcome to take what you've learned and go into a real game. But they give you 6 really pretty good tutorials, and I really like that game. I'm like I said, I'm in on that. So
I guess it's just the way I play games, but that tutorial bothered me because they kept telling me to play a game, and I'm like, no, there's stuff you haven't told me. You're holding out on me. People are going to be doing this stuff that I don't know how to do if I join a regular game.
I'm with you, Sam. I totally just kept Xing out of it, and I finished the entire tutorial before I went into a game because I thought the same thing. But I do appreciate that for people who are antsy. We've seen that some. I'm trying to think of some of the games people were talking about where they just kind of there was too much information. Narita Boy was one of them where it got bagged on for giving you too much information in the beginning and not letting you jump into a game. So I appreciate that for those people who don't want to just be bothered with all of it right at once and they just want to get a feel for it. So, but I do know what you're saying, and I did the same thing. I was like, nope, I'm going to do all these tutorials before I play a game. Also, Tim, I tried Aerial Knights. It's got a great soundtrack. I love that it's a boy from Detroit, but that game is not for me. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it's gonna. I took it for as what it was. It's a demo, and I'm hoping that there's more work that he's doing on it too. So to polish it, because it definitely needs some polish.
Yeah.
But if you get the gameplay and you know where the gameplay is going, and it's not hitting you right, then from the get-go that playing the demo that is not for you. So
I mean, one thing I would say, if you like it or if you don't like it, where's the tutorial on the color coding in that game? That drove me insane. That I had to figure out the color coding on my own in that.
There was no tutorial in the color coding. If you watch my video, I didn't figure out till later. I didn't catch on, to the color coding of the. So with the, if you guys haven't tried it yet, Never Yield. Basically, he doesn't like it being called a runner, but it feels like a side-scrolling runner, like Bit Trip Runner I think too. I think somebody mentioned on the show
about this. I was like, "Hey, it's an endless runner, bud," and he's like, "No, it's an auto runner."
Okay, and it's an auto runner.
Okay, I guess. Yeah, thanks for the difference. I appreciate it. Yes, it's not an endless runner. It's an
auto runner. Okay, there we go. Then that's the term. Better term. All right, so an auto runner, definitely. Okay, so yeah, it's definitely that. So if you're not into the auto runners, but basically you use the D-pad. You can use the joystick, but I found the D-pad was better anyways. But is basically you got to go up to jump, back to do a flip move, down to slide, and forward to sprint. And do a charge, I guess, too. So, and there might be other moves in it, but that's what I've learned so far in the demo, playing the first level. But and it's all about timing and doing it right, and also a lot of times you do have to go faster. And maybe there was a part in the first level where something was chasing me, so I had to go faster. So yeah, so I think there's still some polish that needs to be done, and maybe he doesn't know how to do that type of thing that we're all used to from Nintendo, where they know how to train you or to do the tutorial in a game to build you up to a certain level. So sorry, I'm trying to get Andros in here. So
My one thing about the game is, so there's like a mid jump, like where he does your character does this cool, like, I don't know, he like does this cool backflip type thing, and then there's like a high jump where he can jump over higher items. Once you get the color coding, that's okay, but I almost rage quit the game because I really just felt like I was just making a choice. I was like, well, I don't know which one this is going to be, so I'm just going to choose one of the two buttons, and I was wrong, so now I'm dead. But then once I did the color coding, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. If the obstacle looks purple, then
Yes.
that means I have to press the up button because the up button is purple.
Yes.
But yeah, there's nothing in the beginning.
Do you ever question yourself at all? Like, we were playing some retro games, and I feel like when I was younger and had disposable time and one game to play, that kind of game mechanic I was much more forgiving of. That thing where you just had to play it 50 times and your hand wasn't held or anything. And now, given A, where gaming is, but B, where I am as a person with a kid and a job and everything, I have no patience for things like that. I want things explained to me. I want it mapped out so I could get down to enjoying the game and understanding it. I feel like I push back on myself a little bit where I'm like, when I was 15, I was totally fine with that kind of situation, and now I'm not.
That's probably true. I would agree with that. I mean, but I still, even when I was younger, I hated the games. It's akin to like a blind jump in a platformer, right? Where you're kind of just like, well, I probably a platform down there, but they're gonna be dumb enough to not show me, so I'm just gonna have to jump and see. And I hate that kind. I hate it when they make me guess. Like, at least give me what I need to let me die on my lack of skill. I think I've always kind of been like that. Let me die because I didn't have the skill to do it, and I need to learn something or something like that or get better.
Right, but I still spent 20 hours playing Battletoads for some reason. You know, like that game would do that to you all the time, and yet I still, for some reason, loved that when I was a kid.
No, to be fair, when I was a kid, I probably would have been more. I would have still been pissed off about it, but I probably would have just fought through it because yes, I had the time, and I didn't have the money to buy the next game, so I would have just fought through it.
yes. All right, Shannon, what you been playing?
Not a ton this week, unfortunately. Still getting into Animal Crossing every day. Little less time this week. Also been trying to get some retro gaming in, so playing some Plock, which that game is awesome and frustrating, and I love it. And I can't get past the second world, so it's driving me crazy. But I love it, and I just keep coming back to it.
Yeah, talk about blind jumps, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. That's what we were talking about. That, like, that's exactly what I was thinking of. Where it's
Forget
like
the jumps. Talk about the logs from nowhere.
Yeah, the
yeah.
logs just appearing out of nowhere and collecting all those like little. I don't even know what they are in that second world where you're having to collect all the things.
The fleas.
The fleas things, and I'm like, so I don't know. Maybe I'll look online for some kind of walkthrough or something of it, because I want to get to the retro world there in that game. That just sounds so awesome.
There's no continues. There's no save states. There's no passwords. It's literally just play through the whole
continues.
Game. Oh, there are?
Yeah.
There are,
the
but...
letter system is your continues. And I believe I don't know if it's every boss, but actually, as long as you don't turn the game off, you can start from the previous boss, even if you run out of continues.
Oh, see, I have not been able to do that.
Yeah, but so it's still...
that's still a lot of progress lost.
It's still a lot of progress, so I'm halfway through World 2, and all of a sudden you're back at the first... Yeah. But it's still great, and the music is just some of the best
looks like it's not
rocket music. That game, yeah. So I'm going to keep at it. And I played a little bit of the Joe and Mac 2. It's just kind of lighthearted, at least so far. I haven't gotten very far, so we'll see. And other than that, I try to get in whenever I can a little bit of Bravely Default too. So, nice, light, easy, game there. Short game, I'm sure. No, lots
Nice.
that's gonna be a long haul. It's gonna be like Dragon Quest XI for me, where like I played it over the course of like 6 months or whatever before I finished it. But it's all right. It's cool. I like having one of those games too.
If it makes you feel better, I've been playing Dragon Quest XI for about 10 months now.
Oh man, that is up there. That's easily a top 5 RPG of all time for me now. I played every. I beat every optional boss. I beat every. Like, short of like getting every single weapon and all of that. Collecting every single tiny item. I've did everything else in the game. 100%ed it every other way.
I put off trying to play Dragon Quest XI for so long, and then I finally yielded, and then I couldn't get my controller to work on PC. So I'm waiting for them to fix that.
That game is top notch.
It has mouse and keyboard controls, but they're terrible. The game was designed for a controller. And I have an 8-bit DOE receiver, and it's just Dragon Quest. Like, everything else, because it's on Game Pass for PC. And everything else works fine, and it's just Dragon Quest. It's just like, no.
That's what you get for not playing it on Switch.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I guess so.
That game is perfect for Switch, though. It looks good. It runs good. Like, it's just, yeah. It's near perfect game, for sure.
Like, I'm to the point. I'm still where I'm at the second act, and it's where you return to. Probably gonna butcher the name. Is it Octagonia?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm back there, and I'm trying to get. You have to do the gambling to get the item.
Right.
I don't want to go into too many details. You're trying to get the band back together,
Right. Yeah. It's the second act, just like Final Fantasy VI, where you start the second act of that game. Yeah.
Just like it.
It's very,
Spoiler.
very,
Spoiler.
very similar. That's probably, yeah. Well, we're just saying you got to get the band back together. And Final Fantasy VI's been out for a few years, so
Just a few.
and that's probably why I like one of the reasons I like Dragon Quest XI so much is because Final Fantasy VI is probably my all-time favorite RPG.
That's number 2 on my list, but that's pretty good.
What's your number 1? Is Chrono Trigger?
Yes, that's the GOAT.
Yeah. That's probably second or third for me. I love it, but
I beat Final Fantasy VI more times than Chrono Trigger, but Chrono Trigger is my favorite. I've sold both my copies of that game this year, or last year.
Wow.
Gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
right.
right.
We've
We've
all
got
been
this nice
there.
monitor in front of me.
That's lovely.
I got
The
my-
thing that the game you've
lights.
beaten more times is the one that doesn't have alternate endings.
I know.
That's true.
Well,
And I wish I could play RPGs. I wish I can't. I think my wife has silently banned me from playing them because once I get started, like I commit. I have to finish
Focused,
it.
right?
Like
Focused.
I'm zeroed in on it, and I did get Final Fantasy X-2 over the holidays, and yeah, that that was quite the grind at some points, and I finished the first part, but
Nice.
I'm just gonna leave it there.
You were
Leave
working
it
on
there.
perfecting your Jex shot.
Yeah, I mean,
Final-
like, if in my life before children, family responsibilities, yada yada, like I love RPGs. I just, Chrono Trigger, that's one of my favorites. Of course, all the Final Fantasies. My personal favorite.
Wow.
Very nice. Very nice. My personal favorite, Nihon Falcom's book 1 and 2, Ancient East Vanished. That originally came out for like the TurboGrafx CD-ROM system. That's like my go-to comfort RPG.
I don't know
Nice.
that I've even heard of that one.
The Yeast series. I feel like there's been new ones, right?
Oh, Yeast. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I didn't hear that. I
Yeah,
didn't catch
East.
that part.
Why? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
One of those, big
Why?
Japan type.
Yeah.
Right. I thought that's what I thought it was when those first ones that came out. I thought it was why. So
Do you guys usually have like an RPG cooking in the background while you're doing other stuff though? I know Vin, you just said like you can't do that, right? Like you don't have the capacity to. You need to focus on your RPG, but I feel like right now I have that with Paper Mario, the
try.
original one. I realized that I never played it, and I'm like, I'm going to that as my backup as I'm doing other gaming. I always have an RPG cooking on the side.
that's what I'm doing with Bravely Default too, and that's what I did with Dragon Quest XI, and that's and then when I have a little more time, I might devote a little more time. But right now, it's a great in bed. Play until I get too tired to hold the Switch up and it smacks me in the head, and then I know it's time to turn it off.
Yep. We talked about that yesterday on the
It's
show.
actually like the opposite for me. I usually like binge RPGs and then get sick of them and take like a 4-month break from them.
Yeah, that's
I hear that.
Yeah, I do the cooking thing where that's why it takes me so long. Like the Monster Hunter one is my RPG that I'm that I'll go to play, and then I'll play something else on the side.
Well, it's gotten a lot better. Recent games usually are better about having like a journal system to log your quests and all that, but I mean it's just past experience of you boot up your save file and you're like, what was I doing? Where was I going?
Yeah.
That's where Dragon Quest XI gets you. They give that, unless you're worried about a side quest, but your main quest, it gives you, here's what happened last time.
Yep.
That's awesome.
But even with
those
a lot of
journals.
them, I really like RPGs that give you a lot of character building, like stat allocation and things. So I usually have like a long running, I plan that stuff out. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to multi-class this guy this way, and I'm going to, train up this job for this character. And if I abandon if I go more than a week without playing, I'm going to forget what my plan was, and then I'll just kind of lose interest.
Is that where you're at basically, Vin? That's why you kind of have to stay focused and go through that? Is because you're afraid of losing track of what you've been doing?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's kind of like reading, War and Peace or Moby Dick without having a bookmark handy. I've got to get through the whole thing, because if I stop and put it down, do some other stuff, life, whatever, I come back to it, I'm like, what am I doing? Where am I? And I have to get my bearings again, and it just doesn't work for me.
You should be asking yourself, what am I doing if you're reading Moby Dick anyway? Wow. That book is awful. That book is awful. I'm sorry.
Well, you can read it. I just downloaded. Downloaded the Longing, and you can read the book. You can read Moby Dick in the Longing. You can sit there and literally read the book in that game. It's so crazy. Yeah. Like that's a thing you can have your character do is read it in that game.
Like a copyright issue or something.
No, I think it's all public domain stuff in this game. There's Nietzsche. There's like a bunch of books.
That was written before copyright was what it is now.
I was just talking about, I think it was yesterday on the Nintendo Pals Discord, about
Nintendo Pals are here. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, little shout out there. I was just talking about it over there that I want to be so interested in that game. It intrigues me so much, but I know that it'll get spoiled, or that I'll build up.
And we bought it. Shan. We can't.
You guys did it.
It was pressure from LPD.
That's me.
Right,
yeah, it's me and you guys. Yeah.
I want you guys. I need somebody to stream it, and I'll just watch the stream.
That's it. Yeah.
Every day for 400 days.
You don't want to watch a stream of this game. It's so slow.
I feel like this would be a hilarious game to be a Twitch plays The Longing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's on all the time, and people can log into.
That's what I was saying on the show yesterday. Just start it up, buy a dedicated Switch with just that game on it, hook it up to Twitch, and leave it running. And then when you come back from work or whatever, and you play your 30 minutes or whatever on it, and then plug it back in and just watch the character sitting there. You go to the Twitch channel and see that person, just that character just sitting there.
400 days.
Yeah.
Now, somebody was saying something though about about time traveling in it, but I didn't. I thought I was gonna say because in the description it says that you can't time travel. Right?
Yeah, it's not possible to do it. Yeah.
Okay, so what happens if you change a switch clock? The game is like, no, you can't do that or something.
It shuts it down. Yeah, it like kills your character apparently or something.
Oh my god!
Wow.
Rossetti shows up and gives you a lecture.
All right, let's change the system.
Rossetti.
That's way worse. That's way worse than just getting some rotten turnips.
So what happens?
Yeah.
I kind of want to just get the. I wonder if I was kind of just the game and see if it happens. It's just. I boot up the game and it just says your character's dead. Look what you did.
Nice job. You tried to time travel.
Change your clock.
So you filthy cheater.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
can I just say,
that game does intrigue me too, because we talked about it yesterday, and it was like every time somebody talks about it, just the idea. I know it's slow. I know it's painfully slow, according to what John was saying, because he played it and did
400 days.
And you just walk so slow, and the doors open so slow, and everything's just so slow. But
you got time.
Can I just say, when I first saw that game on the sorry for interrupting everybody. Can I just say I was watching the showcase late because I had an appointment while it was airing, but then when I heard real time, I'm like, this developer can't be seriously thinking that.
That's what I mean. It's real time, and that's the part that intrigues me. Plus, what's going to happen? What's there? What did this person, this developer, put in this game to have you discover that will blow your mind? That's what I am wondering. That's I don't know if that's the FOMO part of me. In my brain is like what the fear of missing out on something this developer put in there that I'm supposed to discover.
Did he get inspired by his cave adventures? For some reason, he went to some kind of cave in Mexico and is like, I'm gonna make a game about this.
maybe that's what he did.
Well, I mean,
that's
how we got Legend of Zelda, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Was exploring caves, Miyamoto. So we're just gonna need Andros to at least
we need updates.
Write down what he does for 400 days.
We need a blog.
Yeah, just a blog.
this is good for blog format.
Imagine if you should time your character would die. Imagine they put that in Animal Crossing, where if you try to change the clock. Isabel will come in and saying, look what you did. Everyone's dead.
Every time you change a clock, a person on the island dies.
I've really stopped time traveling in that game. I just wanted the cool furniture.
I mean, so we just got done recording Nintendo Pals episode, and I learned that. Well, we learned that the game was already out on Steam, The Longing, and it's been over 400 days.
Oh, okay. All right, so there's people who already know what happens.
Micah.
I know what happens.
A game from
400 days.
A game from the showcase is they're already on Steam. But when we have a second, I want to see what games I've been playing. If that's okay. Kind of off topic.
No, we're still on talking about it. That's what who brought it up? Playing 400. Liam, was that you?
I think it was me. I challenged Muggle Moo. I was like, I'm gonna do it. Are you gonna do it too? Yeah.
I could give a little bit concrete of an answer to your question. Like I was trying to say in the bus, and I've been mostly playing Steam of games of all places. I got a little bit more interested in Rivals of Ether. If you ever heard that game, have heard of it?
No.
It's the Indy Smash Brothers clone that basically became his own thing.
Okay.
I kind of wrote that in the question, saying how's a good game, and Marty didn't even read it, so I'm a little disappointed. But no, it's an indie Smash take on Smash Brothers. I kind of just play it as a casual, just for an hour before I go to bed.
Okay.
It's fun. You guys should try it out. It's on Switch if you want to play there.
It is on. It is on Switch.
Yeah, it's on Switch. It had a sale, but I think it's over by now.
Wait, what did you call the game?
It's Rivals of Ether.
Okay.
Yeah, it's by the guy who made Super Smash Bros. Land. I played that. The Switch itself. I haven't really played much. I mean, I haven't tried Pac-Man. I'll get around to trying Pac-Man and stuff.
Did you play any games that you can play both on Steam and on your Switch? Have you tried that? Any of those type of games?
You mean like cross save?
Yeah, cross save between the two systems.
I don't know a lot of games that can do that besides Among Us, but Among Us doesn't really save anything.
No, there's like there's a list of games like that you can actually cross save between PC and or Steam games.
Divinity 2.
Hades, I think.
Oh, is that what you said, Micah? Divinity?
Yeah.
Yeah. We both played Divinity on Switch, but we didn't get it on Steam, so we didn't try the cross save.
That's the only thing, right? Is like you have to own both. You have to buy it twice, essentially.
I don't know if we're doing like a show.
It's a very small subset
So
of
if
people.
we are, I kind of just spoiled this for me, but I got a new Switch Lite recently.
Nice.
But you didn't wait for the new color.
Yeah, you gotta wait for the blue.
I got this the week after they announced the Switch.
Blurple,
Lite.
yes, Blurple.
I think you guys are crazy. It's gold.
It's white,
It's like
yes.
the Switch version of the
it's
Nice.
dress again.
Yes. Yeah, that was another topic on the show yesterday where we were talking about that color. Where everybody's talking about it being close to the Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance color or the GameCube color.
Micah's got
Pretty similar.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
not.
There's a
It's
little
not.
more
It's not
than
purple.
this, but it's close.
It's not indigo. They would have called it indigo if it was indigo.
It's beautiful, whatever color it
Yes.
is. And it's the closest.
Beautiful.
It's the closest to ever convincing me to get a Switch Lite.
Well,
Like
it's
I'm
not as
actually
comic
tempted, and yet I just want to hold out because I want that Super Nintendo Switch Pro whatever plus XL.
Yep. And that's
Yes.
probably
Now
what
it's
matters to Nintendo, right? Is like all of us who already have one, they don't care if we buy another one or whatever. They want to get the people who haven't bought one yet. So, and that's the people that'll pick up that blue one. Or anybody who really likes that.
I
Everybody
was
already
tempted to like
has one.
return my black one for the blue one, but then I realized that doesn't come out till next month. So I'm like, I'm not gonna wait a whole month to get a new Switch. It's fine.
But you already have a Switch, right?
I'm fancy like that. I wanna have a.
It's just gonna get all three.
But like they have a way where like you can like, because when I got the blue one when it launched, it was difficult to like transfer cloud saves, but apparently it does it on Mac. So now I
What
can,
you're
like,
saying
kinda-
is you got the OG one and you got a light, and then when the blue one comes out, you'll get one of those too, right?
No, I can't. I'm not rich.
You're gonna do a guru thing. You're gonna have a bunch of Switch lights right behind you, aren't you?
I would've do that, to be
Am I-
honest.
Am I the only one here with their old original Switch?
No, I have the
No,
OG
that's
one.
me.
That's all I got.
My original.
I have
I've
no other
literally
original
never
now.
bought two of the same
I mean,
line of hardware.
I got more
This is-
Joy
yeah.
Cons, but
It's not the same.
These are my
Sam.
only
They're different.
Joy-Cons.
You can see all
Wait,
your
Mole,
lovely
you said
faces.
you never ever bought a second console of any sort? Like you only bought one of everything and that's it?
Yeah, even handhelds.
Really?
Most of my handhelds I jumped in like mid-generation. So I had a DS Lite. I had a 3DS XL. I never upgraded to new 3DS. I never upgraded to DSi.
How
Did you
about
have Game Boy? Yeah, I was gonna say Game Boy Advance,
Game
right?
Boy?
I had a Game Boy Pocket. Same thing. Mid-generation thing that I just stuck with until the Game Boy Advance.
Did you get the SP?
Nope.
No? Okay, you just had the regular Game Boy Advance. Okay.
No backlight. The backlight wouldn't do it for you.
I had to
Wow.
get the worm light in that case. I remember having one of those things. It was so archaic. Like...
It was real fun to play bent over.
Gotta
Yeah,
get that
it's
light.
getting the light.
Where's that light coming
Yeah.
from?
Look
I
at-
remember
look at
having
my-
I remember having a for my Game Boy, original Game Boy, a magnifying glass / light, and it was
Yep.
the only way to play that thing in the dark.
Yep, I remember that. I
feel like
remember
I'm
that one.
missing out. I never had a magnifying glass.
I've got
It's
this
tougher.
one and the same.
contraption. This contraption here, like, slid over the Game Boy Advance, and then you popped it out, and it has light bulbs inside of it.
Nice.
And it was like its own battery-powered thing, so you could have your own lit Game Boy Advance.
There you go.
Busted this out recently.
I guess I eventually did get the adapter
man.
that you played on the GameCube. So.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the adapter was nice too. So
Yeah.
I had on my OG classic Game Boy, I had for it. It was this. I don't know if anyone kind of step in and let me know what the name of this thing was, but it had a clip-on magnifier, clip-on speakers, and a separate clip-on joystick.
Sounds like a
and
Swiss Army
larger
knife.
buttons to go- Yeah,
Clip-on
yeah.
arm.
I mean, and it was lighted, and it was just, it was probably the pinnacle of peripherals for the Game Boy. And
How
like I
big was
mentioned
that with
before,
all that?
I'm a Tetris fanatic, and that's pretty much all I played on it for like the first year I owned mine. But
Yeah, it was like bigger
Yeah.
than the Game Boy itself, right?
yeah,
the Handy Boy.
pretty much.
It was called the
Yeah.
Handy Boy.
That thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it
That's
would fit in
right.
your pockets then.
That's right. Thank you, Tim.
And the handy
It
boy
makes it
sounds
look
like
a
dad.
robot, and-
Handy boy sounds like Dad's After Dark territory.
Yeah.
See,
In retrospect, yeah.
Tell me about your handy boy.
Uh,
Yeah, I had one of those too, Vin. I had one of those too. It was
He's-
nice.
yeah.
That was
Didn't
that
do it
was an
all.
upgrade. That upgraded your Game Boy because it was like it turned your D-pad into a joystick, thumbstick, and it had two buttons that you could slide across easier for the A and B. And then you had stereo speakers now instead of the one little speaker because it flipped open to have stereo speakers. It was crazy.
Yep.
I
It was
just think
like
for the
it was like a personal home entertainment system for your Game Boy.
Exactly. Actually, you know what? I can share my screen. I'll show you guys. Let's see, right there. Go live. So,
Check if guys are streaming in.
try
I guess
to
while
bring it up
Tim
there.
does
There
that,
we go.
For the record, I got most of the handhelds and there's different versions of it too.
So, is that one right there, basically.
Just absurd.
It was a Frankenstein. And then they came out with different versions of it, obviously, with different colors.
That was it.
Oh my
Yep.
Was it. Man, brings me back.
It was
Brings me
crazy. It
back.
was a crazy beast.
Mhm.
Now you
Yeah.
see, like,
I've mentioned on past dinner tables, like I was always into like the weird peripherals for different systems. The different kinds of hardware that developers dreamed up to get paired with the NES or Super NES or what have you. Like to this day, SNES mouse, most underrated peripheral ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I feel
Awesome.
like I was gypped out because mine was just the light and the magnifying glass. I feel like I need to file some kind
You
of
had
grievance or
the
something.
halfway step. Yeah, it was like,
Yeah, that's right.
You had the
I didn't know I could have been rocking stereo sound and a joystick.
right. Yeah, it was I was into the same thing, Vin, where I was trying I still do it now. Like I try to look for the best accessories for my handhelds and stuff. So, and I still do it with the Switch. I try to see what can I do to make it a better experience for me. So that's why I like playing around with the joy pads, that they have come out now to see how does it feel on the Switch instead of a Joy-Con. And then the various I'm trying to see if I have any near me to show you guys, but or the various screen protector, the flips, hybrid cases that they have where that flips and covers the screen when you're not using it, and then you can open it back up. There's actually one in
wait, you're talking about the Switch. Wait, for the Game Boy, the Switch Lite.
well, I'm talking about the Switch right now. But there's one
actually
in
have that
Play
here, hold on.
Asia. There's one in Play Asia that's actually clips onto the top of the OG Switch and allows you to flip cover over the screen, so when you're not using it, it protects it, and then it flips back over, or you can take it off. So I can't tell. It's hard to
it's
see.
not. It's not Nintendo's version. It's Hyperkin's, but I ordered it recently for my.
Oh
Switch
yeah,
Lite.
yeah, that's for the light. Yeah. So
it's their own version though.
I don't, like I said, I don't have it near me. No, the hybrid one is the one I have that came out during when the Switch came out, and then I upgraded to the Zelda one, and I've been using that for a long time whenever I travel.
Oh, you mean like the case is like, you can flip it over and you can make it its own like.
Yeah, it
kickstand?
just protects the screen, and that's it. So
I used to have one of those.
Kinda like a tablet.
I can't find anymore. I think I know what you're talking about. The ones like you could like it's convenient. I wish I had that, but I don't know where I put mines.
yeah.
They have the official one too. That one's more for like to make it look fancier or something. I already opened it. But no, that's well. I guess we could find it online or something. I guess.
I found it. It's a Power A thing, so.
I might just buy their own version.
Share again. Here we go. So this thing right here is the hybrid case.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm thinking about. I mean, I guess I have one too. I think it sounds the same mine, so I gotta check.
That's cool. I've
Like
never
a
seen
tablet cover flippy stand thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the one I bought after. I got the gray one because that came out day one with the Switch, but then like 6 months or so later, they came out with the Zelda one, and I was like, I gotta have that one. So, and my daughter got the Splatoon one, which is here. Whoops, wrong one. I'm pointing at the wrong screen. The Splatoon one here, she got that one, which is really cool. And then my son got the Mario one. So they had come out with different ones that are really nice. So, and I like how it flips open and becomes like a stand type of thing, like it shows there. You know, you can stand it up like that, and then you just flip it back over to cover the screen, and it works with the controller. So,
how does it fit on the Switch? Does it fit nicely, or is it loose or something?
The way that it goes on with Velcro, so you can have it as loose or as tight as you want it.
Does it also have like little slots for game cartridges? Because the one I used to have, it was like the back of it had room for like at least 4 cards. So
it has cutouts for all of that. Yes.
Okay, I might as well buy one then, because I kind of missed one of these.
Yeah, I had the cutouts for that. Definitely. I'm trying to see if I can find the picture. I have a picture of it with it. Mine. But yeah, I don't want to take up the time just talking about that, but do you guys have any favorite accessories that you guys have that you find that you like
for
your Switch,
in general, or just for the Switch?
For your Switch.
I got a few in the past. Yeah, I don't think there was, when I saw from Metal Jesus Rocks video where there's like a little sticker and you can put it on the back of your Switch so it can hold your Switch games in them. That was kind of cool. Then I had like these things that like supposedly the dock had a problem where like it could scratch your Switch. So I got like these $5 buffers from Hyperkin where like you could just put them your not the sock. It's like it's like a little piece of plastic that's supposed to keep it from like scratching your Switch. What else I have? I got a lot of accessories for my Switch in the past. I just trying to come to my mind.
Yeah, I'm addicted to accessories, so that's a bad thing.
I got tons of controllers from.
I'm the minimalist over here.
I mean, it's a controller, but Hori
that doesn't count.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something.
I consider controllers accessories. I probably buy a lot more controllers than other stuff.
I think maybe I have a PTSD from the Wii, and I'm just not buying any accessories ever again.
How many Mario Kart wheels do you have floating around? Your house right
man,
now?
Yeah, those are like like finding coins in the cushion. Like oh, there's a Mario Kart wheel here.
I did buy that. I did buy the grips for the Joy-Con. I actually gotta get the wheels too because they're not that much money. They're like $15 for like I think I get 4 a pair or something.
Yeah, you gave us super cheap.
Nobody,
I also had like all those.
Nobody's using these controls for Mario Kart.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah.
My wife does, and she does it pretty good.
Wow.
That's the only way she can. I mean, she can actually do it really well. It's the only way she'll play.
Is she drifting?
Controls for it.
Is she drifting with motion controls?
No, she doesn't.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And she refuses to do anything faster than 50cc. but she
Okay, got it.
She holds her own. She holds her own. Yeah.
I stand by that. It is the way that Mario Kart Wii was meant to be played.
That's fair.
All right.
That's the way
That's
it's played.
fair.
But since then, no, I don't know motion
Agreed.
controls. I do love the voice chat option where you can say I'm using tilt controls. I do like to spam that online.
Same.
Yeah, that's nice.
I was playing Mario Kart with my wife the other night online, and she may or may not have been using tilt controls.
So, you know?
It's a preference, yeah. Whatever gets everybody playing.
I hope that it's like you know how we have the GameCube controller is going to be an option in Smash for the rest of eternity.
Right.
I hope that Mario Kart.
When we're turning 50, we're still gonna have GameCube controllers or something. I don't know.
Well,
Well,
I
I'm
hope
very
that
close
Mario
to
Kart
50, so
gets-
that's still possible.
My future children are gonna be like, if you want to live, you have to learn this damn controller or something. I don't know.
I wanted to
hope
show
that
you
Mario Kart
Mecha
always
Dragon.
forever has tilt controls as an option. Doesn't matter if it makes any sense. They're just gonna keep throwing it in as like we have to have it. Everybody, that's how everybody knows how to play.
Accessory for the Switch.
I don't know if this counts an accessory, but I remember I had the Satisfy grip. That was kind of a neat accessory for the Switch.
That is.
I love that.
I still
love
have
that
that.
grip.
I actually got
That's my one accessory I have.
I actually got two of them. I got the two Satisfy. I had two different kinds of grip. I had the Spelunky, and then I got the Satisfy, and I prefer the Satisfy much better because
My
it's
red
like,
one.
Yeah.
Oh
because
my
it's
god,
like,
the red is beautiful.
it's angled in a way it's actually easier to hold. It's great.
Mecha Dragon, real quick, I wanted to show you the cutouts that you were asking about. There's the top. It has the cutouts for the vent at the top and the part you can't see, but you can see from the cutout there the vents for the bottom too. So for that hybrid.
You better have that. That will kill your Switch if it doesn't have
Right.
interesting.
But yeah, that's it.
I think there's a Butterfox case that can double.
Is that yours, Tim?
Yes, this is mine.
Oh man,
I put the
that is
skins on it
beautiful.
and
Yeah.
everything. That's
the new
that's my themed
Zelda
one.
Joy-Cons?
What's
this
that?
out already? The new Zelda Joy-Cons.
No,
are
these
coming
are
out.
my
Is that
skin. These are just the skins I put
Yeah,
on mine.
those colors are way better than the actual
I'm
official
about to
ones.
say like.
Those are the skins,
I do have
and
one other
unfortunately,
accessory
my
that I'm
OG.
still quite happy with, which is this game card case, because it's a question block, and I just think that's cool. It only holds 9 games, but
Sorry, I can't
I
see.
buy most.
Show that
I was
again.
fully
Show that
expecting
again.
that- I was fully expecting that to be a cube, Sam.
Show it again, Sam. Can't see it. Okay, cool.
And then you turned it and it's
That's
flat.
opened. Yeah, it's fairly flat.
I got a
But-
cube.
You got the
I
cube
mean,
one.
it keeps your games pretty well protected. I mean, it's a hard case, so it keeps them pretty well protected.
Yeah,
Nice.
I was looking at my
Screen protector.
new Happy SQ. It reminded me. Did anyone see what Reggie tweeted? I think yesterday. About Mother
About
3?
About Mother 3. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, is this guy
Trolling.
saying something, or is he just trying to be?
He's
funny?
trolling.
Trolling.
He's trolling.
It's just red.
If I were him, I'd be trolling like that every day. Just because
Oh
I
yeah.
could.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, he doesn't work for Nintendo anymore, so he can say what the heck he wants. He could like just say, "I hate Nintendo. It's the worst company ever," and they can't say anything about it. It's like, I guess we were terrible people.
I'm also assuming he got a bunch of GameStop stock when he joined the board a year ago, and that is worth a lot more now than it was when he joined the board a year ago. So I think that Reggie's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I heard
He's all good.
Dogecoins went up recently because my friend
Yes, they did.
texted me. He's like, "Check your account, you're rich." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Guess I'll cash out now." I was like, "No, don't cash out now. You'll be a millionaire if you keep your Dogecoins." I'm like, I don't need that much. I only do like $1 worth. I can't even with stocks. It's too complicated, to be honest.
Well, next
That was
time
kinda-
on Stock Dads, we'll definitely, and Bitcoin Dads, we'll talk about that.
If only
this
my
is just
platinum
back.
point coins were worth anything.
Right?
Oh.
Yeah. I'm gonna mine the platinum coins.
I think
I gotta
Nick
get
and Sean-
that Cookie Mama game to like grab the coins for me and stuff.
Nick and Sean need to add it as a segment to Dad Crossing, just a turnips segment where they talk about real world finances. It seems like there's enough content there to do your own podcast.
There you
It's a
go.
great idea.
Turnips.
I'll get right on it. Sean and I will make it happen.
there's so much about bitcoins. I'm just like I kind of get, but it's like over my head. I need it plain English, down to earth. Explain to me.
No, whatever we tell you to buy, don't buy, because we have I'm sure, unless Sean is hiding some serious financial information that some wisdom that he has.
Yeah.
If I tell you to buy, don't buy it. I'm sure.
It's like go the opposite way, whatever Nick says.
I don't into that.
Yeah.
Actually, Drew's the one that's really in on that. That should be. You should just call it Nip Dads, and to go with turnips. And let Drew talk about it, because he's the one that's always talking about Nintendo stuff.
Nick Dad sounds like a dad show on Nickelodeon.
I heard Nip Dads.
Yeah, I heard
a very different show.
NIP is what I heard.
Why not just be Stock Talk? I don't know.
Yeah, it could be any of those things would work, definitely.
How about
so there's ever gets like a spin-off show that would just be Justin talking about stocks. It's called like Business Time with Justin. That just gives me an idea.
That's another After Dark thing. Business Time with Justin.
That just gives me an idea. Like, can we just have like Justin, like repeat? That gives me an idea. What if we have a new show for like Justin where he reports the news, and we could call it Business Time with Justin? It could be like a weekly show, like Last Week Tonight, and it's just Justin repeating the news that happened that week.
And then everybody who comes to watch, they're disappointed because it's not the business time they think it is. So.
Let's be business.
I said that in the Discord, and I think Jesse got upset at me. He's like, "Mecca, that's in the," because I was like, "Why not just have the quote from the Flight of Conchords song, called Business Time?" And Jesse's like, "Oh, Mecca, that's an inappropriate song." Like, no, it's a good song. Flight of Conchords is an amazing band. Jesse, you don't.
It is, but we're not dads after dark. Unfortunately, we can't use that, and plus we get flagged for it anyway. So.
Sam, you mentioned a show called Plock Talk, and I want to take the opportunity here to I missed it. I was listening in on you guys talking about Plock earlier, but I think Plock might be the first indie game I ever played.
Wow.
It's not even an indie game though. Isn't that like a Super Nintendo game?
It's not. It was developed by just two guys, I thought.
Yeah, it was Software Creations, which was a pretty small studio. Yeah.
I mean,
but the term indie did not exist at that point for the game.
Well, so I would argue, and I don't know if Tim, you wanted to go here, but I was thinking about this too.
Natural flow.
Yeah,
I really forced that transition.
I like it though. I like it a lot.
I think Crash was developed by like 10 people when back when Nintendo was a very small company. Does that make it indie?
Well, video game teams themselves just used to be a lot smaller.
Yeah, they used to be.
But I was thinking about this, and I don't know, this is going to show everybody's age here, but did anybody have like Game Empire discs or like shareware discs or anything? Like
that's how I played Doom for the first time.
That for me, that was indie games, and I feel like that's right around the Super Nintendo time too, NES, Super Nintendo. But I was playing like Scorched Earth and like really weird, like Commander Keen, the Apogee stuff, and I was thinking about like what was an indie game, and I remember playing so much shareware where you'd only be able to play like the first 4 levels of a game, and I would just get really good because there was 250 on a disc.
Yes.
Nukem.
Duke Nukem. I would argue that like Super Nintendo games aren't really because they
does shareware work again? I never heard of shareware before.
In all the publishing, we had the Nintendo seal of approval.
Right.
So they always kind of were they were at least putting their stamp on things.
Yeah, I mean, indie's a tough thing because just like if you applied it to music or film or whatever, like what's an actual indie? It's kind of like I always put it more of a DIY. Like I feel like it started with the shareware where someone was just making a game and throwing it out there and people were kind of passing it around. And then it went to like flash gaming. I think of like Newgrounds and all the games that I played on there that were created by like 2 people and just put up on the internet to kind of play on a website. That's where my head goes on all this.
Oh, and it's the same thing like you said with film and music. I mean, there's indie record labels, and that seems like a contradiction of terms. And there's, in the film industry, you have things like Fox Searchlight, which exists for Fox to fund indie films, but they're being funded by 20th Century Fox. It's like, that's the opposite of indie.
To me, that seems like there's tiers to that, and maybe that's the same thing with video games and the record companies and all that kind of stuff. There's tiers. There's the person, there's the guy or the lady who's making the game and selling it out of the back of their trunk, or making an album, a tape, and handing them out on the street out of the back of their trunk, or making a movie with the 8mm camera, or back in the day, or now with your phone, making it with that and then posting on YouTube, and you made a movie. And then the next tier is basically, okay, I have this concept, and you've got somebody who has got some money, but they're not necessarily the big studios, but they're a small up-and-coming studio, and they're willing to back you. So that's still maybe, indie, but big enough to get you to Sundance, probably. And then you get noticed by everybody else. And then I think there might be different levels to indie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Can I ask a question about that though? What if your IP is super popular? Does that consider an indie? Because I wasn't gonna say this, but
popularity has nothing to do with it being indie. I don't think.
No, because in the indie showcase, one of the games they featured was the TMNT game that they recently announced, and I'm like, TNT is anything but like indie or obscure. Like everyone knows what TNT is. Why is this an indie like direct?
Well, I think that goes back to Andros' original point, though, is it's like Plock was made by just a few guys. It was published by a bigger company and put out on a Nintendo platform. But like, if you think of the term indie as a small homebrewy kind of origination, like the new TMNT game seems like it has a smaller team that's using a big license, but is it being developed by Konami or Capcom or one of these big studios? No, it seems like it's being made by a smaller group, and they just happen to have access to a popular license.
They proved what they could do with the Streets of Rage license, and then they were probably approached about the TMNT, or they maybe approached them saying, hey, we want to make a game, here's what we did, we want to do the same thing with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and let's go from there.
And I mean, I agree, and it does seem to me like indie is no longer really the appropriate term, but it's just the one everybody's using, and you're not going to sell people on a new one. But, I mean, these days, indie basically means anything that isn't considered AAA is indie by default.
Yeah.
I just don't understand when people say, like, oh, I play indie games. I'm like, I consider indie games just as good as any other game, so I don't know why would...
They are.
Because they're indie,
I don't think quality is the question.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of quality, and that's why you see a lot of these indies become part of those AAA companies. Like we were talking about before, like with the Cuphead. They got noticed and they got picked up by Microsoft. So.
Yeah, to Mega Dragon's point, I did see comments on the last Indie World Showcase that were like, show us real games, and people saying things like that. It's just like, man, what? I can't believe it.
Just to circle back, because I found it funny and looking forward to talking about Ask Iwata, but I pointed out, I think, on the live chat last night that Iwata in that book refers to Super Smash Brothers as the ultimate indie game, because he talks about how, for most of its development, the development team was him, Sakurai, and one other guy who just did the sound.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I kind of find it ironic when you say that, because there's like a bunch of indie Smash games out there, and calling the actual Smash game indie is like sounds so weird to me. I'm sorry, I just had to say
that. I mean,
like,
it just goes to show how the term has been used kind of fast and loose. So.
Well, maybe the question is, like, that I'm curious to hear everybody's answers for is like, what's the first game you can recall playing that was like labeled as indie? You know what I mean? Not like thinking with our own terms, but you played it and like, oh, this is an indie game. It was advertised as an indie game.
Yeah, that's basically what the main dish is about. Is whatever you feel like you remember that indie game was that you played. So like Liam, you were saying you feel like the shareware was like the indie games of our day back then, and that's when you started playing, and that's probably what your answer is.
Yeah, I mean, Commander Keen for me, I played all the Commander Keen games. I played every Apogee game that there was, the original, like, side-scrolling Duke Nukem. Like, all of those still feel like indie games to me, because they were smaller development teams, that they were, again, it was a lot of shareware and, like, freeware that got passed around. It wasn't something that I went out and bought. Right. It wasn't like a disc that I had and, like, had a license to or anything.
And it's just like what we were talking about today with all these, people who start out small but then get bought up by bigger companies or become bigger companies, like id Software, with the Doom game. And they started off small, making the Doom game, and then they just blew up, with Doom coming popular and then doing the Quake games and so on and so forth. So
yeah, I mean, they made Commander Keen. Like, that's the group that made Doom, is the ones who started with Commander Keen.
Yeah.
The game that EA canceled, the mobile version or something, Commander Keen.
Well, they did a reboot of it on Game Boy at one point, and they did another one, I think, in like the early 2000s. But yeah, I haven't heard anything. People did, but that's also a series that the assets are out there, and people use those to build their own indie games off of too. There's all of that, like the homebrew framework that they use is based off of that.
Interesting.
I mean, to answer your question, I don't remember specifically what game I first played that I consider indie. I mean, do you consider Flash games indie or something? Like,
well,
100%.
I was gonna real quick clarify where I was thinking. Like the first game that you can recall that was by definition of everyone else, not by your own definition, but like was advertised as this is an indie game. And so I'd say things in probably early 90s. I don't recall that term ever being used.
No, you're right. You're right. It wasn't.
I don't know when that first started showing up. I didn't hear about it till.
What was the Xbox 360?
Even some of those other stuff, like Commander Keen, that was kind of. I mean, I don't recall that being.
What was the Xbox 360 arcade stuff that they talked? Was it the arcade? That was used. That's when I started hearing indie game.
I did not play it until much later, but I think Cave Story would be one for a lot of people.
Probably like the first.
I didn't play it till the 3DS version.
Cave Story when I got on the Wii, and I still haven't beat it, and I'm a little annoyed at that.
Yeah, I think WiiWare, when you started hearing about, because we had the virtual
that was
console
another one I was
WiiWare.
going to mention. World of Goo.
Which, like, by the
Because
way,
that was definitely one that, like, it was a wake-up moment for people as, like, oh, games that are WiiWare can actually be, like, fully viable games, not just, like, fun little arcade things.
Yeah, I feel like WiiWare was a big thing. That's how I discovered Telltale. Like, a lot of those kind of initially, like, story-driven Telltale games was through there, too.
Those are on WiiWare. I don't remember that.
I think my initial answer was going to be the first release of Spelunky, which was on PC, source available. So that came out in like 2008, I want to say.
I am so pumped for the sequel to come in July. Just gonna throw that out there. I talk about that one as much as I can. Spelunky is one of the few games that I have 100% and got all achievements in. I think that might be my answer as well, Sam. I think that might be my first one that I can recall.
Mine that I did not mention on the show yesterday, because I brought it up, we were talking about indies a little bit there too, but the one that I did not mention there that I saved just for you guys, Geometry Wars. That was the one that I felt was one of those first indie games, and that's when I started picking up on the whole indie game genre, I guess if you want to call it that.
I feel like I started a little bit later doing the indie games. If you don't include, if you don't include those shareware stuff, if you want to talk about strictly indie game, I probably didn't play one until Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight.
Then Shovel Knight, and then probably SteamWorld Dig probably was the second one I played.
Okay.
And like Shovel Knight though is one that is one that I love going back to that game. I think it is just like incredible. Like it feels great, it plays great. all the content they've added, like that's just top of line. The SteamWorld games, those are, especially the two dig ones are definitely my favorite. And I keep hoping that we get a dig 3, because those are probably the best Metrovanias that are not,
Yes.
not Metroid, or
they're ranked pretty high on that list. Yes.
Spyphone, are you playing
sure.
SteamWorld Quest right now? Just curious, since you mentioned.
I have it. I've only played for a little bit. I just haven't had time to put into it.
I was gonna say that's another game I've been playing for a little bit. I played it on Luna, but I rebought it on my Steam account because I feel like, I don't know why, it looks much better when you have it on a local drive versus in the cloud. Plus, Amazon Luna still doesn't have access to Android tablets, which I would prefer to play on the go versus my small phone. I don't know. Sorry for derailing in there. I was just you mentioned SteamWorld. I was like, oh yeah, I played that too. We should play it. It's fun.
They are there.
Yeah, they're.
Then again, I love card games, so I kind of had to love it. Sorry, I cut you off there, Tim. You were saying something?
No, Matt, go ahead. You were saying something.
No, I was just saying about the SteamWorld dig games. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're good.
See, I'm just trying to figure out my first indie game, and I guarantee one of the old Commodore 64 games I played was an indie game. There's something out there. I mean, Pit Stop 2, but I was actually going to first think in mind was Maniac Mansion, but that's Lucasfilm's games. That's indie back then. So then as I try to progress through, when I hit the NES sitting over here, I'm not going to pull it out, it's going to make too much noise. One of my favorite games to play was a game ported to the NES called Mule. And it's an acronym, so it's M.U.L. But anyhow, it was actually developed for the NES by East Ridge Technology. I mean, the game was published by EA, but the game originally came out in 1983.
What is it?
Mule.
Yeah.
The game originally came out on the Atari in 1983.
Was it like a platformer, or what is it?
No, it's a 4-player simulation game, like strategy. Like you have
so there's 4 donkeys.
The donkeys are what you. Oh, not that. But the donkeys are like the mechanical things. But like you inhabit the planet, so you want to get a piece of land. If you get one on the river, then you can farm and get a lot of crops. So you have to have food. You got to get energy from the sun. But like you get these plots of land and you try to develop in the different things.
Wow.
Then you go to the point where you have to sell your stuff. Things can catch on fire. You can just buy everything out of the store to drive up the price if you want, but you have to worry about like food rotting, energy spoiling, and stuff.
I have never heard of this game.
Dude, Matt,
it is the most underrated game. The only people I know that know about this game are old like me, or like the people that work over at the Strong Museum here. It's got like the World Video Game Hall of Fame. Like the people that work there, it made their list for like one of the most influential games of like a certain year from a list they did like a couple years ago.
Man,
that
you
is
look
awesome.
like
it's almost like Oregon Trail.
Yeah, I have not thought of that game. I have not thought of that game in 20 plus years.
You know it?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I used to play the heck out of it. I actually had it on our Commodore 64.
Yes, it was
we had
on 64.
Yes. And I used to play that so much. It was like, I don't know. It really, the strategy board game, like a lot of what I love about strategy board games these days actually has roots in that game.
This is one of my top 5 favorite video games of all time, but you have to play with other people. Play with the computer is not that great.
No.
But if I was really start going to, if you want to consider this indie, I'd say yes. Then I started thinking NES. This was the one I could think of. On the Wii, I was gonna pull out Strong Bag. Well,
yeah, Telltale. That's Telltale.
Oh, that was Telltale.
Yeah, that's how I learned about Telltale.
Yes. So that was my first experience with
Telltale. Did you say Strong Bad?
Yeah.
Strong Bad's game was Strong Bad's game for cool people. Right?
For awesome people.
Strong
Yeah.
Bad's cool game for attractive
It
people.
feels so bad.
Yeah.
Like that's the first time I heard about Strong Bad. Was from that game series, and the first time I heard about Trogdor was from Guitar Hero 2, and I'm like, I feel like I should have known it before.
And a side note, there's a Trogdor reference in Valhalla if you find it.
Ooh, in Valhalla?
Yes. There's a Trog. My buddy found it and took a screenshot.
The Burninator?
Yes, Trogdor the Burninator. There's a reference. There's a book that you find, and they mention this big, strong, muscular, armed dragon that burninates things. So.
Yeah, I just price charted Mule, and it's only $20 loose. I think you've sold me on it.
Can we convince Dan to make like the next Retro Logic game or something?
You got to have one of these bad boys.
What is that?
That's the
That's the 4-player tap. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They're going like 5 games work with that, to be honest.
Yeah, talk about accessory, right?
Well, you guys, there's actually.
I have the NES Satellite that did 4-player.
Yep.
That's the one that used the wireless one.
There is a Mule Returns out on Steam, and it's got high ratings.
Yeah, I might have to get a Steam account now.
A Steam account? Get a Steam account. It's fun.
I don't play anything on computer.
I became my own worst enemy. I started to do that. I don't know why I got this game in PC4.
There's a Mule board game.
No way.
Yeah, I see it on Amazon there.
There is a Trogdor board game too.
Oh, and Mule is on COG if you have a COG account.
Oh, I do have a
excuse me,
GOG
GOG.
account.
GOG account. Yeah.
That I gotta make too.
So there's some options.
So Telltale's out, Mule's out, so that leaves me with I really didn't have any indies on my Wii U, so that puts me to the Switch. And one of the first games I got on it when I got my Switch, because Switch came out in March, I didn't get mine until September, would be SteamWorld Dig 2.
Okay.
So.
And since I'll bring this up since you said it's really only fun in multiplayer. That Mule Returns on Steam does support remote play together. If you've ever used that. So that allows you to stream the game to other people who don't even own it and play with them.
Have you used that Third Strongest mode?
Dude, Matt, I think we got
Matt, I'm in.
coming up.
Let's go.
I am in.
Still play right now.
Not
Get the
this
game
weekend?
because it's
I'm thinking maybe next weekend.
Yeah, let's do it.
When I stream Sunday night.
Let's
that
do
might
it.
be our stream.
There you go.
Have you used the remote play together Third Strongest mode? Because I think it's kind of a neat feature. Like
It's great. Yeah, I haven't messed with it
I've
too
used
much.
it mostly for Civilization. But yeah, I mean it works with Gungeon. I just haven't had anybody that wants to play Gungeon with me.
it also works with Rivals of Ether. Going back to that game, I'm talking about the game a lot.
They've been adding more support because it is something that's client side for the most part. So generally, if a game has multiplayer, there's probably a way to make it work.
It kind of makes you want.
But I mean, it's really interesting for those games like Enter the Gungeon, because Enter the Gungeon doesn't have online multiplayer. But that lets you play online. It's just it's layering an online infrastructure over to use the local multiplayer over a connection. Now with something like Gungeon, it might be a little tougher.
I was gonna say that
then
can't,
you're gonna have latency issues.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, is it like huge lag? Because like
that's gotta suck.
Something like Civ, it
there
doesn't
has to be
matter.
some kind of like lag or something like that. I don't know.
And that's why I've done turn-based games over it. But
my experience with it is
I think Divinity supports it as well. So
Divinity is turn-based, pretty much.
I think I have like the perfect answer for your question. Would the first game consider indie? Can I still answer it?
Go for it. Go.
I mean, like, okay. To be fair, I don't think I really consider a game indie.
Oh, don't preface. Don't preface it, or what? Oh, I'm saying the wrong word. Don't. Just say it. Just say it.
Why am I taking so shy? I'm sorry. Fine. Fine. I think it's gonna be Shovel Knight. Is my answer. I think that's the game when I got it from my Wii U. That was the one that I coined the best indie game ever. Before them, I don't think I really called a game indie. Sorry for hyping it up, Tim. I think Tim secretly hates me or something. I don't know.
No, I do not. No, it's what year did that come out?
2014. I remember specifically. Yeah, because I think I went to cruise ship that same year. Yeah, 2014.
Micah, is that your answer as well?
Yes. I actually just looked it up. I can't remember if it was 2014 or 2015.
Nobody has brought up what might be the original indie game because it's the original roguelike, which is Rogue, which came out in 1980.
Oh, wow.
But you bring up this every time you guys talk about like these like old retro games, and I'm like, it comes back to what I was saying earlier. Like a bunch of video game studios didn't have that much people in them. Like, so does that mean every video game studio was an indie company? Because back in the
Well,
days, you had
and
like
that's why
barely anybody.
there was pretty much no difference. I mean, it was, even if you were Nintendo, you had, couple guys.
You were calling
You had
everybody AAA at that
Iwata
point.
and Sakurai and one other guy making Smash Bros.
So really,
for
the
N64.
indie scene is the base, and the AAA studios have come from the indie scene. And then there was not been a title for, hey, we're a bunch of guys that got together in the garage to make a game.
And back in the day, game
the title.
budgets and the whole game industry just wasn't as big. So I mean, there was not as, if there was something below what, say, Nintendo is doing in the 8-bit era for the NES, it wasn't that far below them, because at some point it's not even, I guess you would be talking about people who making a game isn't even their full-time job.
Well, if you think about what Nintendo did too, is like you said, it's not that far, because they went to the guys who were working in the warehouse putting together the Donkey Kong machines or the next machine after that, and saying, hey, do you know how to make a game? These other guys are tied up. And then that's when they found Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And nowadays there's a bigger difference between what a AAA game is and what the rest, which somebody's going to call indie if it's not agreed upon that it's a AAA game.
But I think a lot of it's dependent on delivery system too, right? Like that has changed over time, whether it was like I said, flash gaming, or once we had the ability to connect our consoles to the internet, then you didn't have to think about physical production and publishing as much. And so an indie game creator could get their game into other people's hands. I think you look at the N64, the GameCube era, and there's not a whole lot of space for an indie developer in the console space, because there was no way to have that. It was cost prohibitive to put anything out without some big budget behind you.
I mean, I don't know a ton about middleware, but I know a lot of indies have been able to thrive because of the middleware and those companies who are creating the software that makes it easier to speak to hardware. So, I mean, I think that's part of the reason we're seeing indies now compared to in the 90s. But the other part of it is what you guys have already said. I think, in my opinion, all industry starts as an indie, right? At some point, whatever industry, whenever it begins, it's an indie. I mean, even if you take the sect of video games being VR, if you've ever read, I can't think of the guy's name who wrote the book about Oculus, but Oculus was like the first real foray into consumer VR, and that started, he was in the trailer behind his parents' house, and so I just think everything starts at an indie.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
It becomes the AAA darling, basically.
Yeah, you could get into, like, Rare was kind of an indie initially, right? Like in the RC Pro-Am days, potentially they were an indie. I keep going back. If you're talking about like budget, I look at Way Forward. I feel like Way Forward was one of those companies that I recognized at some point, kind of like when I found an indie record label where I was like, oh, I like all the music on this label. I recognized A Boy and His Blob and Shantae, and I was like, oh, these guys just put out quality stuff, but they're also making an Adventure Time game, right? They're making the Mummy game or something like that. So they're paying the bills with these license deals and making decent games out of them, and then they're also building Mighty Switch Force or something like that. I think like it makes me always, now when I find Team Cherry or Night School or whatever it is, like I find myself adhering to these indie studios now, like I did an indie record label, and putting my trust in what they're going to deliver to me next.
To me, really, the most definitive thing about indie games versus AAA games is the price point. It seems like if you're going to charge the $60, or I guess it's $70 now for your PS5 and stuff, then you're a AAA game. if you are charging anything other than that, or lower than that, I should say, then you're an indie game. Which, I mean, it is interesting to think, because like the Wii U, Nintendo was experimenting with some of those games like Captain Toad and Kirby Canvas Curse, or Rainbow Curse, the follow-up to Canvas Curse, which they launched at a $40 price point. And I kind of wish we'd see more of those. I like Nintendo doing those pseudo indie titles because it lets them and that's really the main characteristic of indies to me, is that they tend to be more experimental, and I think that's why you see bigger studios stepping in to publish them, because they can say, hey, you don't need a huge budget, so we can take a risk on you, because we're not going to throw the billions it takes for us to make a new Zelda game or a new, whatever in the latest series. That's a huge budget, and we can't afford to have that fail by risking it on a crazy new idea. But these small projects, yeah, because we know that sometimes they wind up wildly successful, and we would love to be the person who funded, the next Undertale.
Yeah, I think Ubisoft does that actually pretty well. Like Child of Light and Little Nightmares come to mind as like they've had that lower price point indie style. I'm not familiar with how they were developed actually, but they seem to have that tiered thing as well.
Well, Square Enix has gotten involved with their Square, I forget what they call it, but the Square backing of some indie developers as well, where they'll find a game and publish them for them, or back them and give them the money to publish it. So, is it
safe to say though, for everybody on here, that like the Switch era, the past few years have just been like some of my favorite games on this console and of this era are indie games like Hollow Knight and Firewatch, Limbo. Like some of this stuff is just some of my favorite experiences ever. It's crazy.
It's wild that it's gotten to a point where an indie world showcase is almost as exciting as a proper Nintendo Direct.
Yeah, I put the same amount of time in Enter the Gungeon as I have Breath of the Wild. So, and I got Enter the Gungeon for I think like $8 or maybe $12 or something. It's just crazy.
I have 225 hours in the Stardew Valley and only 140 in or 200 in the Breath of the Wild. I had to add my Wii U time on that one.
Also, I love Bug Fables. That's a fun game. It's one of my favorite games on the Switch. And I mean, that was one of the games I mentioned when you guys were asking for our favorite indie games. That's one of my favorites, even though I haven't really beat it yet.
Favorite?
That's a shame.
Yeah. Well, so does everybody have a favorite indie game on the Switch? I would wonder.
Well, that's my answer. But if Bug Fables,
it's gonna be Spelunky when it comes.
Actually, no. Actually, my answer. I can't decide because it's either that or One Step to Eden, because One Step to Eden is basically Bound, which I love. I love the Bound series. And so I play it for fun on my.
Well, and that's interesting too, because there seem to be a couple different facets of like what indie games are generally like, and that's one we're seeing more of, is these indie studios kind of filling a void where they're like, hey, there's this series that isn't getting made anymore, and if Nintendo's not going to do it, then I guess we'll do it. I mean, we got Groove, we got Bug Fables, we got Fast Racing RMX.
I was gonna say that I just realized, that's a good thing.
And they're often made, and they do incredibly well because they're made by fans who understand what made those games good.
I was to say, like, I love like just when I play a new game, I like try to figure out what they get inspired by, because it's like, what's a new game by Kaz and Wildmass? How it's basically just Donkey Kong Country. It's kind of nice to see what games inspired them to basically make this game. I mean, sure, it brings to the whole this game is just a copy of this game, but this game is just a budget version of this game thing. But we have to go there and stuff like that.
They like revive it almost, and with they almost revive an old way, especially with the Kaze the Mask. It's very, very much Donkey Kong Country love letter. But what was the other one you guys? You mentioned Bug Fables. Bug Fables is like just bringing back original Paper Mario and then making it better.
Yeah.
Like I'm all for it.
And the really good ones often, they're not entirely derivative. Like Bug Fables is quite, it's quite different from playing Paper Mario, because you've got a 3-character party, and that changes a lot of the dynamic. And you've got a challenge mode, which is something that Paper Mario never had. So it is interesting how they, they're not content to just retread. And there probably are those that do, and you just don't hear about them because they don't take off the way these other ones do.
So Mole, what's your answer? Like, what's your number one indie game on the Switch?
Ooh, I think Mecha Dragon stole like both of mine.
Sorry.
I was gonna say I can't pick Bug Fables because I played it on Steam first, and that has consistently been a problem for me. Is that digital distribution, and especially Steam, because it's easy to get stuff listed on Steam. A lot of indie games come to Steam first, and I often can't wait if one really has my attention. But
yeah, because you jumped on Bug Fables as soon as you heard of that.
I was talking about Bug Fables before it was cool.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for taking your
before
answer.
it came to Switch.
I just love how cute the game is.
No, I mean it's great because I think it's an awesome
you're right.
game too.
There's so much indie games on Steam. Like that Skull game is already on Steam for some reason. So I'm kicking you off.
Enter the Gungeon is also great. That's another one I played on Steam though.
So you guys didn't.
One Step from Eden. That one came out the same day, Steam and Switch, and I bought it.
I wish
Switch.
that happened more. That would be so nice.
You guys haven't mentioned Exit the Gungeon. Is that any better? Or is it the
Oh
same
yeah,
thing?
it was mentioned. Yeah.
Stick with Enter the Gungeon.
Yeah.
Okay then.
What about Vin? Vin, do you have one?
Yeah, I got a couple. I mean, you guys have already thrown out some great picks. I mean, Strong Bad's cool game for attractive people. World of Goo.
Oh yeah, World of Goo. I forgot about that one.
A couple months ago, I bought Dead Cells when the DLC package and everything was all on sale. That's at Indy, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Haven't really picked it up lately, mainly because I'm not that big of a platformer player myself. It's like, okay, you start out as this blob mucus, you get into a body, go, and then you die, and then you blob mucus into a body, and then go, and then you die. Seem to get a little bit repetitive to me. But yeah, maybe I'll get back to it. Maybe I'll play some more of it. But there's one I just remembered. There's this one developer who I really want to show some more love to, and that is Butterscotch Shenanigans. They are the guys who made
Big Level Head. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, and Crashlands. Now, I was before the Switch was, I think I was basically playing, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, emulated on my phone, sort of like Proto Switch, and Crashlands, one of those games that I came across back then. I played through the whole thing, start to finish. Enjoyed it. I really like the aspect of crafting, armor building, weapon building, taming animals, going to different locations on this weird planet that Flux Games finds herself on. And I really want to get it because it's on Switch with a whole new co-op mode and all of that, and would like to get back into that sometime.
You said that was Crashlands?
Yes, and I would definitely encourage anyone who hasn't heard of it or hasn't tried it, definitely give that one a go.
I have They actually have a podcast. The people for Brothers Shenanigans. They got like a game developer podcast that I sometimes. But it's funny you mentioned them because I remember seeing like in the indie showcase this one game that looks like Mario Maker, but this was before Mario Maker 2 was even announced. I'm like, I was like, so wasn't there like a game they announced in this past direct that was just like you could make your own levels? I want that, and then I saw they revealed the name of the game and everything again in another direct. I'm like, hey, that's the game. It has a fun game. I love how hilarious it could get sometimes, and how like you can make your own levels and stuff like that. It's also a good game. It's on Game Pass if anyone has that service and they're a big cheater like John. I think it's John. I can never remember.
Yeah, there's some good irreverent humor in Butterscotch's titles, which
Should probably Crashland.
I enjoy.
They have a bundle for both of the games on Steam. Maybe I'll do that. I'm abandoning my Switch first.
I was just looking at my Switch and I forgot Bloodstained Curse of the Moon and Blaster Master earlier, and both of those are awesome.
That is a game on my bucket.
Most of the stuff Indy creates does is awesome.
Yeah.
They pretty much capture. I mean, they pretty much are the old Capcom. I think it was formed by former Capcom devs from their action platformer Super Nintendo days. So they know how to make that style of game. And they just keep doing it.
If Indy Creates is considered an indie developer, does that make the Zero games indie games? Because all those are being made by Indy Creates. So like, I don't know.
They were, but Capcom was still involved with those.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's the same old problem. It's, where's that divided line? How indie do you have to be indie?
I think Jesse like kind of made a good point in the podcast to say if your game is being backed up by a popular or millionaire company, then it's not indie anymore. So like, I guess that means the sequel to Ori, not an indie game. But if you're paying this yourself via Kickstarter or like Pocket, then that's what makes it indie or something.
Well, but indie be getting published by EA or someone, because you may still have you may have made it, and you may get a little bit of backing, but they're going to publish it. You're not getting $35 million. You might,
Yeah, and Indy Creates also self-publishes some of those things too, right? Like anything that was Mega Man was published by Capcom or whomever.
I mean, it's interesting because they were, someone that was getting tapped to finish development for those Kickstarter projects from EGA and from Inafune.
Yeah.
So.
And now they've made Blaster Master playable. I loved that NES game, but like couldn't ever get anywhere in it. And now it's just fantastic. Like Blaster Master and 2, I'm looking forward to 3. Like it's awesome.
They announced a third one?
Yeah, third one's later this year. Yeah, later this year.
I gotta beat them.
Get delayed.
And thank you for. Yeah. I love how like they kind of made his own series. I think the first was basically a remake of the NES one, but then the second one is like its own thing. Yeah. It's funny because there is a Blaster Master 2 for the Game Boy, but it has nothing to do with Blaster Master Zero 2, right?
Actually on the Sega Genesis first.
Yeah, and I think there was a Game Boy game too, or a Game Gear. Either it was a portable one.
It was on Genesis too. Oh, that was only on.
Yeah, I mean, the story was always bonkers there too. Yeah. Like it's whatever. I think Andros, you were saying something though, right?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say I think I need to bail. It is pretty late for me here, so I wanted to answer Liam's question on like favorite indie titles on the Switch. I looked through my library and I can't narrow it down to just one, guys. So I'm gonna give 3 that I gotta recommend.
I got 3 as well.
I wonder if they're gonna be the same 3, because all 3 of these games are games I played countless hours with Micah on. I don't know if this really counts, but Divinity 2, I really, really liked that game. Divinity 2, which is
I've heard a lot of good ones about that.
It was kickstarted. I don't know if that makes it indie or not, but it's
it also launched it below AAA price, at least on PC.
Yeah, it's $50, so not much below AAA
price. That is.
Yeah, well, I think the first game launched at like 40 or 45.
I have almost 300 hours in that game.
I remember appreciating it.
Just throwing that out there. I don't think that's one that's for everybody, but if you like that like old school computer RTS type game, it's very good.
There's just
And
like so
then-
many valid strategies in battle.
Yes.
And they quickly became a big deal because they're making Baldur's Gate 3 now, which is something that Obsidian and BioWare were turned down to do.
Yep. Yeah, they made a better. They made. They basically made a perfected what Obsidian and BioWare done previously with Divinity. And then this is completely not similar at all. Human Fall Flat. It's very popular on. It's always up in the top seller list. If you haven't picked that one up, definitely worth the pickup. It goes on sale all the time. Great game, awesome online multiplayer, and also local. And then lastly, this is like, so we got, Mike and I got Divinity 2 and one same time. And it's pretty funny to watch my hours in Divinity climb while his hours in Risk climb. But while we both played multiplayer together and boosted both of those times, getting into like 100, 200 hour territory on both of those games. Those games are like AAA quality in my mind.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just can't recommend those enough. The only one I'm like, Divinity, I think you have to be a type of gamer, or like you have to like that type of game. Human Fall Flat, I'll recommend to anyone. Risk of Rain 2, also recommend to anyone. Those are both great titles.
Micah, were those yours?
Mine actually differed a little bit. Really considering Divinity 2 and Indy, I guess, but if I was, that would definitely be on my list. I also had Risk of Rain 2, though. Besides that, I had Enter the Gungeon. Sunk a lot of time into that. One that no one has mentioned yet, Celeste.
Oh my god, yeah.
surprised
Love
me.
Celeste.
I didn't play that last week too. With me. Damn.
So good.
I mean, it's good. Has anyone gotten the Moonberry?
I kind of want to go. Is that the what's the Moonberry?
There's like on the farewell level. Like
Is
once
that
you get to the end, you can actually go back to the left a little bit and like continue the level.
Oh,
Is that the DLC? It's funny you said that. Like I heard like there's like extra story with the DLC, but I heard you had to get like 4 crystals, and those things are hard to find. Like I'm good. I don't want to go back there.
That was my.
You have to get 13 crystal hearts or something like that to unlock.
I can't even find one.
It
I'm
is
like, I'm not doing
so
this.
stupid hard. It's like the crowning achievement of my life. Just kind of sad, but.
So I saw like the Completionists make a video about that. I was like, go torture yourself with this game. Do you now know how hard this game is? Like,
Yeah, I
one
was
of the
happy just
secrets
to get to the end of that one.
strawberries is to get to.
I hope my muscle memory comes back for that. Like I keep meaning to go back to it, but I'm afraid that it's not like hopping on a bike again. And I have that fear with Hollow Knight too. Like I'm so excited for Silk Song, but I got really, really, really good at Hollow Knight, and then I just haven't played it. And I'm afraid that when I pick up Silk Song, it's just I'm gonna have to relearn and get good all over again.
Can I just say something about Silk Song? I feel like that's like the indies version of like where's the next Smash character for like indie developers. Because apparently, from what I heard, the chat was like crowded with people saying, "Where's Song? Where's this song?" That is like, it's basically. I feel like from now on, they can't make an indie direct without someone being like, "Where's Silk Song?" or something like
It's
that.
the Metroid Prime 4 of indies.
Yeah.
We announced
Apparently
it with
it
a
is.
title, and we're never going to talk about it again.
At least
It
with
had that
Metroid,
one
we have to
cover.
start over. So.
It had that one cover in Game Informer, but yeah, I don't think they said. I think because Team Cherry's just like, guys, we're working on it.
I can't wait to have
The pandemic.
It's the Bayonetta. It's the
The
Bayonetta
pandemic,
3.
guys. You got to remember the pandemic screwed up everything, and we're set back for the smaller team probably another year. So.
Well, I can't wait till Team Cherry comes up in a room and they're like, "We're sorry to announce that we've had to restart development."
Don't you do that? Don't do that.
You know what game you haven't heard in like a long time again? I don't know if anybody guys remember this Sports Story. You guys have heard of that game?
Yeah, I
I've heard
can't
that
wait.
game for, like,
The other one, I'm like, where is it?
They just
Cuphead
said they
DLC,
delayed
I
it,
think,
and
has it
then
all,
we
dude.
never heard from it again. And that's another game that's on my backlog, Golf Story. I have the game on my
I was
Switch,
gonna
but I
say
haven't played it.
We were
What?
talking about our favorite games on the Switch. Like I gave you my top 2 are with Stardew Valley and jeez, my mind's just blanking.
People
now.
say that it's like a good game even for people who don't like golf games. And
No, golf Story is a blast.
Golf
Yeah.
Story is amazing, but one game on here that I'll give it as an honorable mention. I mean, considering the fact it was made by Ron Gilbert and Gary Winnick, would be Thimbleweed Park.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
so good.
If you don't know who those are, those
Dude,
are the guys
Matt,
who
you
did,
just
like,
stole
Maniac
mine.
I think
Mansion
that
and
was.
all
Let
I think that
Shannon
was them
talk.
and
Let
Run's,
Shannon
for
talk.
Switch game.
Point and
Go.
click.
I really do have to go, so I'm
All
gonna bail out of the call. Thank
Later,
you guys so
Andros.
much for
See ya, Andros.
drop in.
I see.
Bye.
All right, Shannon. What about that Thumbleweed?
Dude, I was just waiting for an opportunity to talk about it.
I
So
just started scratching into it, and I'm like, got pulled away, but that's high up on my backlog.
I'm sorry. That is Indy. It is. I actually did not get around to finishing it completely either, but I'm pretty far along in it. I just need to get back to it. But the very first game in that realm of, in that point and click that I ever sunk a whole bunch of time when was Maniac Mansion.
Well,
and so this is
Maybe
the
so
game
you
just
Scum Engine.
Yup. And it is just, it's so well written. And I know that there are a lot of point and clicks now on the Switch, and there's some really good ones and there's some okay ones, but I still think that Thimbleweed Park is like top of those.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It really is. Like, the writing is just top
Ron
notch.
and
It's
Gary
just,
are two that they're
right.
they're
Yeah, exactly.
on top of their game
Yeah.
back with Maniac
Yup.
Mansion and all that stuff.
Yep. And so that's the other one that nobody's kind of mentioned, that I also really enjoyed was Blossom Tales. And that's like, it's
That's
very,
another
very
game on
much,
my look list.
it's very much linked to the past. Like, it's not even, they're not even trying to hide it. They make fun of it
Yeah, they
in
made
the,
the
in the
joke
game, but it feels so good to play. And for me, Link to the Past is my all-time favorite game. And I don't ever think anything will ever pass that. And so this just felt so fun and so good to play. Better than Cadence of Hyrule, which I really want to like, but I'm awful at it.
I mean,
so,
you can't really compare Kid Hyrule to Plastic. They're two different games. One is like
no, I know,
more
but I'm
rhythm-based
just
and-
because,
yeah.
but because Cadence of Hyrule has the Zelda in it, and so I want to really, really love the game, and I think that it's well made. I just am so bad at it that
Me too.
I just get so frustrated that I can't do it.
I love how like there's an option to turn off the rhythm, but I'm like, that defeats the purpose of the game.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's for people like never mind.
It is for
Sorry.
people like me, and maybe I should just do that just to get through the game.
Yeah.
But the music is so good. I mean, it really is well done. I just not good at it.
I think Family Jules made the music for that game, if I remember. I think he said it on Twitter or something.
Shannon, I would say, like, going back to Thimbleweed Park, like Day of the Tentacle, one of my favorite games of all time, and
I've
it
never played
feels
Yes.
oh, dude, it's on.
I
They
just-
remastered it on Steam, and
It's on Game Pass right now.
It's on Game Pass right now.
It's
yeah.
awesome.
With
That
all
game,
with all those old point and clicks, Tentacle,
yeah.
Full Throttle.
yeah,
Grim
the
Fandango,
Dig, yeah, the Lucas Arts like Monkey Island era
Monkey
is
Island,
so
yep.
great, yeah. But like Thimbleweed really carries that torch, that Day of the Tentacle. Like it hit so well on something that I remember from 15 years ago that I fell in love with. Yeah. Johnny, what about you? What do you got?
Yeah, man. So one recently for sure is Hades. I've sunk so much time into that.
Oh yeah, Hades.
Yeah, can't forget that.
I finally got that game because I'm like, why is this game like everyone's talking like it's like the next big
Oh, it's
thing.
amazing.
Like,
It's so good.
it's fun.
But on the
just-
other
it's
end
not
of the
like-
spectrum, the
It's not like God tier, but still.
yeah, when I first got the Switch, one of the first games I picked up was The Messenger. I sunk a ton of time into that,
Oh, yeah,
100% of that bad boy.
Yeah, it's
So that was awesome.
Did you know that the change was going to happen? Like, had that been spoiled for you when you
No.
played it?
I
Yeah.
knew something was happening, but I wasn't sure what it was. And I mean, that music in that game is amazing.
It's so good.
Changeover and how it goes back and forth is
Yeah,
just so
Rainbow
fun.
Dragon is good.
I remember playing The Messenger and I didn't know that it was going to shift and do that Super NES pivot and like open up the game entirely. And I was like, why does everybody like this game so much? Like, it's a good game, but it's not a great game. And then that moment happens and you're like, oh, wow, okay, hold on. Yeah.
It's got the teeth in you there. Yeah, because the music and the writing is really fun, but that is just puts it to the next level, I think. But I had a ton of fun with Gato Roboto.
I don't even know that game. No.
You mean Gato Cat or something?
It's a nice little Metroidvania.
Yeah, little Metro, like 3-4 hours. I think it just came off Game Pass.
It did, I think. I was like, I should probably play this game before I leave.
Next time it comes back around, and I think it's not cheap too. I would definitely recommend that one. It's you can finish it in a couple nights. It's really fun.
It's $8 on Steam.
Cool. I don't know. Did Nick go? He's like hanging in the wings here a little. I know.
Nick, are you
Maybe
there?
Not. Maybe not.
He fell asleep. Sorry, Nick.
No,
He-
sorry.
He had a long day.
I'm not gonna
Like
totally
me with
listen to
this
you guys while
podcast when
I'm
I
playing
fell
games.
asleep.
So to be fair, I'm one of the guys that really like. I didn't get into the indie scene until I got into it a little bit with the Wii with World of Goo, but really it wasn't until the Switch until I got into the indie scene. And the first one I probably really, really fell in love with probably was Celeste, to be honest. Like that was the first one where I was like super sold. But yeah, I was one of those guys that was kind of like, well, I'm just gonna stick with Nintendo and the main publishers that I know. So the Switch really kind of brought the indie scene to light for me, and so yeah, Celeste probably would be my answer.
Cool.
So I'm kind of curious. I think everybody's had a chance to go, hopefully, right?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious if there's an indie game out there that you are just dying to get onto the Switch. So I'm thinking like, so there's a game, and it's actually on Wii U, so it's not like it's that far off or anything, but that, and I'm trying to remember the name of it, but I remember putting in quite a bit of time into it and really enjoying it, and that was, I think it was called The Cave, and I can't even really describe it. It's like,
I remember that game. I feel like you had to like split up, like you chose two characters and you had to split up.
Yeah.
But there was something kind of janky about it too, right? Like you needed to it was a lot of trial and error. But I'm looking, there was someone, I think that was also the same people that we were just talking about who did Maniac Mansion and all that.
Yeah, it was. And so it's got a story in it, and I stuck with it until I beat it, and it was a lot of fun, and it's something I'd like to revisit because it's been so long since I did, and yes, I could just fire up the Wii U, right, and do it, but just something about having it on Switch and on the go and stuff like that. So, but what about everybody else? Like, what is that one that you just really wish was on Switch?
Can I go next? Because I'm looked at my Steam account. I have the perfect answer. There's this game called Spark the Electric Jester, which is just on Steam right now. It's supposed to be like one of those like Sonic expired games, and it's like the perfect game to be on the Switch because it's like it's just like any other fun Sonic game. It's fast and it's like like hyperactive and stuff like that. There's two of them. There's one that's like basically a Sonic game, and there's a second one that's basically like it's a game inspired by Sonic Adventure. And I don't know why this guy doesn't put those on Switch. They're like, they fit them perfectly. And I don't know what just came to my mind, and I'll just say really quick. This is like really old NES game that's, I guess you could consider indie because it was originally made for the NES, called Battle Kid. You guys ever heard of it?
No.
Well, it was like a some guy made like a game that was like made specifically just for the NES back in 2014 called Battle Kid. It's supposed to be like a very difficult like platformer, but the thing is it's only available as a repro on NES cartridge. So like I really hope this guy puts some kind of like digital service like Switch or even Steam or something like that. Can we send links to the chat room, Tim, if that's okay?
Yeah, you can put it in. Yeah, I mean, just put it in the regular dinner table channel.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do right now. So I can show you an example. It's like one of those like a lot of people are making like NES games in recent years, kind of like that.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be super difficult. This needs to be like another consoles than just NES. But yeah, those are my answers.
Nice.
I mean, I don't think mine is technically an indie, especially not anymore. But I really want Life is Strange on the Switch so bad. Like I've never played any of those games, and I know that now that series is just so mega, and like I think Tencent bought part of the studio now, and Square Enix is involved. But I'm just thinking back to when I heard about the game like 5 years ago, and I was like, this seems so up my alley. But I'm not gonna play. I have a garbage PC. I'm not going to be able to play it properly. And I would love to have that series come over to the Switch.
I was gonna get that game on Steam, but then I heard they're gonna remaster the first one, so I'm like, I'm just gonna wait till the remaster. Especially because like I think John won't stop talking about that game. Like every Dance of the Dark is like, so I was playing Life is Strange today. I'm like, does that all you play?
He's
like,
done now.
Man.
He's
Hot
done.
take.
What?
I didn't like Life is Strange. I played the first chapter and I'm like, eh.
Do you like Telltale games though? Like that kind of game format where it's like branching paths and very narrative heavy and very little in the gameplay?
I finished the 2 Batman Telltale games.
Okay, all right.
But like Life is Strange, and then in Night in the Woods, I was just kind of like, meh.
Night in the Woods.
Oh,
like
Night in the Woods. I gotta play
that's
that.
my game. Night in the Woods. I've got a patch on the back of my coat. Like,
the story, and as soon as that story got good to me, and it was like, it's done. Like right when, I don't know, right when everything it came to the climax, and they go into the place, and the stuff happens with May, where there's the group of people.
Yeah.
Oh, this is getting good. It's over. I was like, the pacing of that game. The pacing of that game is so off. It's terrible. The pacing
I guess so. See, for me, it feels like a great indie film. It feels like because you don't have that like set big. You don't always have the same pacing as you get in a normal game or a normal film. Like they had a different vision where the point isn't like the actual climax of the story, but it's like to immerse yourself in what she's experiencing.
But the problem is that's the only game I've played. Every time I played it, I fell asleep.
Oh man.
You just make it
teach their own. I had that with Oxenfree too, where Oxenfree
I love Oxenfree. I was in that, and it was so creepy. And when they announced,
same.
The second one, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
I cannot wait to go back to the island. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go replay the first one.
Yeah.
What is Oxenfree? Is it like a point and click game or something?
It's a puzzle. It's a puzzle game.
Talk.
Yeah. It's like a 2D puzzle walking game. Yeah.
It's only like $10 on Switch now. I bought it when it was like $5. The loading.
But it's like it's atmospheric. It's immersive. It's there's a lot of weird things going on. You don't get a whole lot of clarity throughout it, but the experience is just gorgeous.
You're going through stuff. You'll walk to somewhere, and then all of a sudden, it's doing it again. And But when you see it the second time, it looks like you're watching a VCR where the tracking's off.
I was thinking about playing Oxenfree. You just said there's not a lot of clarity. Is it going to be one of those things where the story ends and I'm like, what the hell just happened?
No, you'll know.
No, you'll know what happened, but you're also going to be like, why did certain, or like, could I have changed things because there are different endings, and like if you try to like do that thing, I definitely do it where like when you get really into something, then you just want to know more about the universe. That's not there. It's not like a J.J. Abrams thing where there's like a website and another thing referenced here. Like it's just in this game. So it'll leave you with some questions about like the bigger goings on, but there's a lot of resolution.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's your choices.
Nah, there's a sequel.
Yeah. Who else has an answer to Shannon's question though?
I guess
Yeah,
I would like
I'll
to see
go ahead.
Oh, after you.
Go. You can go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say I wish Valheim would come to Switch, especially because a few days ago my GPU went kaput in my computer and I can't play it anymore. Except at like 5 frames a second.
That sucks.
Yeah, this is not the time to buy a new one.
Oh, I wonder why.
Do you lose? Is everything saved though? Like you don't lose any of your progress?
Yeah,
or
everything's
anything?
saved. It's just like my graphics card is dead, so I like can't run anything intensive.
Right.
So I technically can play it, but it's like 5 frames a second. It's so bad. But eventually I'll get desperate enough to play it. But yeah, so it'd be nice if there's some announcement real soon about Valheim coming to Switch. Panic Button, I think I already mentioned they'd like to do that.
It'd be great. What about you, Vin?
Well, I have mentioned this before, and I will mention it again. Mecha Dragon, you know what I'm talking about. You know what's coming. Them's fighting herds. I
Why you
want that
pointed at me
game.
saying that?
I
know.
I want that game on the Switch so freaking bad. Like, I know it's on Steam. I'm not a Steam player. I like to play my games on my big screen. You know, the way video games were intended to be played back then. But I mean, as a nerd, gamer, brony, whatever you want to call me, I really want to get into I really, really want to get into that experience because it just looks amazing. The amount of collaboration that they did with
backstory of that game.
Yeah.
Oh, so it is a Lauren Faust game.
Yeah,
Like,
when fighting Magic Gala can, Lauren Faust felt bad and joined the team back in 2012, I think, one of those years. There was a whole story about this game, I'm not sure I won't really want to go into right now. But long story short, MLP wanted to make a fighting Magic game. Hess was like, no, canceled it, and Lauren Faust worked with the team, main 6, to basically make the fighting herds. And then here we are. Tim, I'm changing my answer. I want that game on Switch instead. Because I completely forgot about the fire. It's funny because it's sitting in my Steam library. I'm like, I should play this game again. I really love the cow. He's adorable. Whatever.
All the characters are adorable. I mean, they kick ass too, but I mean, they're still freaking adorable.
They actually promoted that game a lot in MagFest. I think it was 2 years ago. I can't remember. It was before the pandemic times. They had like a whole, because in MagFest there's this whole event where like it's like a competition with some of the Mag people, some of the guests. But like you know how like in Nerd Arcade they have challenges with like games. They do something similar with that, but with indie games. So like Infinite Heroes is one of them. Swoon Sonatica was another one. So it's like it's kind of like nowadays like a competition, but it's basically one big promotion for your indie game. So you know that's where I play a lot of indie games in MagFest. You guys should go there whenever the conventions come back, and whenever COVID can go away and stuff.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for saying that, Super Vtendo. Man, are you a brony or something?
Problem.
Man, are you a brony or something? Super
Yeah.
Nintendo?
Yeah. I mean, you know, long time ago when my daughter was very young, we started watching Friendship is Magic, and you know, one thing led to another, and I just got sucked into it.
Are you excited for Gen 5? They already announced the 5 ponies. They're super adorable.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit about that. You know, I am definitely intrigued.
We lost Tim.
Don't screw it up.
It's like, I
We
don't
lost
want
Tim.
Tim is like, nope.
It's like I'm out.
We just lost Tim.
I'm out of here, you
Oh
weirdo.
yeah, you showed me that before.
Oh, not. Wow, look
Yeah,
at
let me
that.
have that open.
Yes.
Hey guys,
Can you see those? I don't know if you can see those.
sorry, I gotta bounce.
Beautiful.
All right, Matt.
See you, Matt.
Have a good night, Matt.
Beautiful.
Actually, I
I
think
should
I'm
have
probably
bought
gonna
them
bounce as well.
myself.
All right.
Get something to eat.
Night, Micah.
All right, Micah.
It's
All
been
right,
great.
see you, Micah.
See ya.
Hopefully, see you next month.
Yes. Yeah, I had to pick these up
but I really
because
want to talk about the book.
my oldest was into the ponies and stuff too. So, and I picked this 2 sets up. One of them for
Damn,
her,
I'm
and
so
one of these for me.
jealous.
Yeah,
You know,
I had to get one for myself.
I'm
I
jealous
think I
of
heard.
you, your disposable income.
I think I heard they were having a collab, but I don't really care about Magic that much, so I didn't really pay many mind to it, and I kind of regret it. And I probably should have just had it and just put it somewhere in my room to forget about it, and hope that it was worth something in the future. But yeah. Actually, fun story. Real quick story. They actually I'll make it quick. In one of the pony cons, they actually had an auction of one of the power ponies, which is just like all the ponies as like superheroes, and it was signed by Stan Lee. And it was if someone actually bought it. It was a good auction thing. This was before he died, unfortunately, but
Oh.
I could go on about this. I don't think Tim wants me to go down memory lane.
I'm letting the conversation go where it goes. So wherever it goes, it goes. I'm enjoying hearing all you guys talk about the games you're looking forward to, what games you liked. There's some while you guys were talking, I was writing some things down, trying to go down memory lane myself. One of the things I was going to mention was some of the indie games that I liked playing on the DS or 3DS. Was going back to Renegade Kid games. So like Dementium was one of the ones I really liked, which then transitions into a 2E games. So you got the the Exo Drifter and the Mutant Muds and all that kind of stuff, from a 2E.
Aren't they on Switch still?
Yeah, they're on Switch too. So they have, but none of the Renegade games are. So those are some I wish would come over. Although I really liked when they redid the Moon games, because they made them 3D for the 3DS. They brought out Moon Chronicles, and it's like a first-person shooter for the 3DS, and it was in 3D, which I loved because I really like the 3D on the 3DS. So I any games that took full advantage of that, I tried to play, and they did a really good job.
Nintendo just kind of abandoned it in the last few years of this 3DS.
Well, I still have it, so I can go back and enjoy it whenever I want. And then one that I haven't, other than Hades, I haven't heard us talk about too much is the Supergiant games, right? So like Bastion and Transistor, those are some other of the indie games, especially because of Supergiant. They blew up, right? Or one guy essentially, they blew up.
There's only one guy in the studio. That was many people.
If I remember correctly, it was one guy who started it, and then because they got bigger and bigger, like Hades. Obviously, they had several people working on different things, but wearing multiple hats. And then some of the classic games that I wrote down, going through some of the lists that has made it over to the Switch, is like a game called Flashback. I have it in my catalog, but I haven't played it yet, but is deemed as one of the older indie games that's made its way to the Switch. Another World, I think it was called.
Yep. Yeah, that's in the same vein.
Yeah, in the same vein. And then The Way. So those 3 games kind of made their way over to the Switch. There were a lot of early indie games. And then you guys mentioned Oxenfree, which it was kind of funny seeing. Like, I wish I was going to ask Andros and Micah about this, but they didn't know when Nintendo announced it what that Oxenfree. When they saw Lost Signals, they thought Oxenfree was the name of the company who made Lost Signals.
I was just confused. I'm like, what is this ass
name? I don't think it was very well. It was kind of like, if you played the game, then you probably knew what it was, but it was kind of lost. And then
someone said that they should have made that the One More Thing game. They should have made either like the House of.
Again, my argument for that, it's a one more game for somebody, for those people who were in the Oxenfree and they got to see a sequel's coming out. That's probably, they're like ecstatic, right? That's their one more thing, like, yes, for the Switch, woo, whatever. So another Another one is Zoink games, like Flipping Death. I played that and beat that game. That was really good. I liked that one a lot. And that one's probably closer to my heart too, because that was one I got to review with Bobby Pauls, the Nintendo guru. So, but then the most recent one that I played that I really liked, it kind of gave me a God of War feel, but it was Hindu mythology, was the Raji, an ancient epic that came out 2020, I think it was. And I beat that, and I really liked the aesthetics of it, the design of it, and the gameplay of that game. And there's some slow parts. I'll give you that in the game, but I really liked the Hindu stuff that it goes over, and kind of gives that mythology and stuff. So I thought that was really cool. And then one that I was hoping to see at this direct, but we didn't get, or showcase, that we only got an announcement last year before the pandemic hit, was Dangerous Driving. It's by a lot of the same guys who created Burnout got together and made this game, Dangerous Driving, and it's actually out on the PlayStation, but they were working on it before the pandemic hit to bring it to the Switch. And I was really excited about getting that. But then, of course, the pandemic hit and everything really slowed down, and I haven't heard anything since. So, but
is that one supposed to be like the old school like Burnout games, or like more like the open world style?
No, like the old school Burnout, where you're going through a race on a track and you're taking people out, or I think this is mainly just the driving portion, not necessarily like the intersection, type of thing where you bank money trying to do the most damage. I don't think that had that. I'm thankful Burnout Paradise added that later as a DLC, but I missed that part of the old school like Burnout 1, 2, and 3 games,
Yeah,
so
sure. Those are awesome.
But that's why I was excited about this coming to the Switch.
Can I at least mention like one more indie game?
Of course.
No, because I just remember, none of you guys ever mentioned this indie game. I don't know if it's because they're indie, but Slay the Spire, the one that Drew also plays in a lot of.
That game is awesome. Haven't you guys played Slay the Spire yet?
Yeah, I played it a bunch. Yeah, it hasn't gotten its hooks in me because I'm not a roguelike guy, but I like the card system.
The card system is
and I keep going back to it. Yeah.
Speaking of
roguelike, I played it on Game Pass a bit.
That's another one that I played on Steam first before it was on Switch.
Speaking of roguelike,
pick your place to play it. I would suggest if you like card-based games, go check it out.
Well, and that's kind of like the question of like what needs to be brought to Switch. I'm fully willing to just play it where it's available for the most part. So to me, it's more the stuff that's falling out, the stuff that's just especially because a lot of the times indies are digital only. Those old WiiWare games. It's like, how do you even get those now?
Yeah.
Or PS3.
Look at this.
Dan, what's up,
that I
Dan?
really not that I've played it or having a typical fondness for it, but PS3 store's closing, so if you want Fat Princess, you better get it now.
Yeah, I've been trying to collect a lot of my games for my Vita.
In any other PlayStation console, like it's on the PS4 or 5. Because that was one of the
Fat Princess anymore.
No, I just find ironic.
You can't buy it anymore?
Nope.
Wow.
Wasn't he like one of the characters?
The only way to get Fat Princess now is to spend $100 on the PlayStation Best of Network disc.
That's a thing.
$100.
But Dan, you were also saying the other day on Discord that like even that you're not going to be able to use at some point in the future, right?
Well, does Fat Princess have local play or is it just online play?
I thought Fat Princess was a mainly a local, like a one-player game. I thought it was.
No, it's like
I thought it had local multiplayer, but I could be wrong. I don't know much about it. I just know that's a PlayStation exclusive sort of indie game that was digital only.
Yeah, and there's a PlayStation All-Star character. So now if anyone ever gets that game, they're like, "Oh, this Fat Princess is interesting. What game is she in? Oh, you can't play it anymore."
Interesting.
Same with Captain Falcon.
I was gonna say, quick fun fact about roguelike games. I think this is kind of like, I don't know if this is sad to say or not, but I think like my first roguelike game that I played was actually Funhook. for the Switch, as sad as it is, because it's kind of a recent game. I think that was like when I first realized what a roguelike is, because I played it, because like, oh, this game looks fun, let me try it out. And I kept dying after the second stage. I'm like, why is this game so hard?
It's high up on Marty's list. Marty really likes that game, so.
And I'm like, oh, you're supposed to constantly play through the game to get upgrades. That's how this game series works. It's a fun game. It's just like takes patience, and it's like, oh my god. This character's cute. I like the Flicker character and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's like so many indie games I could talk about right now.
There's a lot of indie games that we definitely go about.
Top of my head.
Dan, you got any indie games that you want to throw in here, your hat in the ring with?
Are we just naming off stuff we like?
Yeah, just we talked about games, our first experiences with indie games that we could remember. So we brought up some, like Liam brought up the shareware thing, for us older gamers type of thing, and then but we were trying to. What's that?
Sorry, what is shareware? Is that like when you like copy a disc and give it to somebody?
Shareware was there's a couple ways, but either you would get files sent to you, like someone would just give you a disc with some stuff, but usually what it was is you'd get like for me at least, a CD that had like 250 games on it, but it was only a portion of it. It was like you only got like a demo of the game, but it was just like countless different types of demos of games, or like micro parts that you could then send something in the mail and purchase it with a check or money order to get them to send you the proper game on a disc, kind of thing.
Sounds super complicated.
It's crazy.
I have to give them money just for a demo, and then it keeps going back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, you buy the demo disc with all this stuff on it, and then you choose the games that you want to send in a mail order to get the full game of, like a disc of the full game.
Or they had ads. They had ads on those. Like AOL was really big at supporting a lot of those shareware discs. So you could get AOL on those discs, but then also had a lot of the games on those same discs.
The game that comes to mind immediately when we're talking about like early indie games is World of Goo on the Wii.
Everyone mentioned that game.
Yeah, it's a great one. It's such a good one.
Good.
Was that a launch game for the WiiWare system or something? Because
maybe, but it was perfect for the Wii, man. Like, there's no other way to play that game.
It was one of the first. It was one of the first WiiWare games that was an original game, and not because you had Virtual Console, which was its own category in the shop, and up to that point, I think WiiWare was pretty much the apps, like your Weather Channel and your Everybody Votes channel and all those. And I think maybe we got like a couple oddball titles like Dr. Luigi, but that was the first time I was like, oh, this is like a original game, because Dr. Luigi was just a new version of Dr. Mario.
And there was a lot of express things too. They broke down a lot of bigger games into smaller chunks, and they called them express in the like DSi typeware games.
Game on the Wii that's like, I think this is the game where like you use the Wii remote to basically control the wind. So you don't control the character, you just control the wind, and then you just move it around to like make the character jump like that.
I think I remember. Yeah, I think I remember something about it.
I can't remember what it's called. I never played it, but I remember hearing about it.
Yeah, I heard that's also a really good game, which is
Lost Winds. I think it was Lost Winds.
I think it is. Yeah. It's like one of those games that's like, I think it's on iPhones, but like if you don't want to play on mobile, there's no other way to play the game. But then again, I don't know how you could play a game where you have to use a touch thing. Maybe you can use your mouse or something, but
yeah,
I think it could kind of work on the Switch. I don't know.
Do you have any other ones, Dan?
Well, we were talking about roguelikes earlier, and I don't like roguelikes just like in general, but the one that got me kind of like interested in it was the game Rad by Double Fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was about that game, but I played probably 80 hours of Rad and got like really far. And it's not even like a good roguelike. It's like fine. Like the controls are really slow and it's kind of sluggish until you get more and more power-ups. But think the aesthetic more than anything else really grabbed me. It's super 80s, 90s, like retro, like cyberpunk, vaporwave, crazy. Um, so that one really grabbed me.
Yeah, it's a good call. There's been a lot of like Tim Schafer, LucasArts, Double Fine Love in the conversation so far. Like a lot of Maniac Mansion and Day of the Tentacle, Thimbleweed Park.
Yes, Day of the Tentacle and Full Throttle.
Yeah.
Sam and Max. Those indie games though, that was all.
Well, no, it came up because of Thimbleweed because they went off and did Thimbleweed Park, and that was when we talked about it.
Super obscure one that I really loved was this game called Feudal Alloy, where it's a Metroidvania, but it's very light, very not easy, but just very simple. And it has like a very simple upgrade system. Just a nice, breezy, fun game with good combat, with like a silly art style that, if you like Metroidvanias, it's just like a really fun romp. You're a robot with a fishbowl for a head, so
it's a shame the Nintendo pals had to leave, or we could talk about Feudal Alloy.
I've never heard of this game. This looks great. I'm looking at it right now. I'm gonna wish list this.
It always goes on sale too. Pick it up for a $5, and it's super good. I think like 10 hours you'll beat it, and you'll be super satisfied with it.
What's the name of the game again? Sorry, Dan.
Feudal Alloy, Feudal Alloy.
Just put it in the chat room. I can't remember that.
All right, I'll post it in the chat.
I have the memory of a goldfish. Apparently, I can't remember what they did today. Oh yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, but I kind of hate how like all the cool indie games actually are on Steam, because I'm starting to have the dilemma. What were I trying to say? Was
Dilemma?
it like dilemma? Yes. Where I'm like, should I get the game on Switch or should I get it on Steam? I don't know which one to get it in, because I want to support the Switch and get it there, but then again, I do have this very cool
links in the dinner table.
I was gonna ask you guys. Also, go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
I have one more indie game. I just started playing. This is not a game.
Oh, that.
It was announced. It was announced at the latest Indie Direct, like yesterday or whatever. And it's pretty fun. It's hilarious because it's essentially like a really basic point and click adventure where you just have to kind of like solve the screen, right? But the whole time there's this narrator who's like, stop clicking that, what are you doing, they're messing up my thing. And then he like puts a wall in front of you, and then you have to like somehow get by the wall. And it's really clever, and the writing is just fantastic. So if you want to laugh at yourself as you solve puzzles, that's a really good one. And I think it's only like $12 or something, so it's not crazy. But
I've been looking at that one because I thought that one looked pretty cool.
Yeah. The writing is, I mean, the puzzles are super easy, but the writing really makes the whole experience.
Yeah, my son wanted he bought that with his allowance, so he wanted that one. He said it looked crazy, so he wanted it.
I will admit that is like the other half of indie games that I generally ignore. It's, because I talked about, you have the one side of indie games is like recreating these retro style games that kind of got abandoned, and there's this whole other one that, and it makes sense because when you have a small team, you have somebody who's, say, really good at writing a story, really good at art, really good at music, and you kind of build the game around that. But the gameplay is usually, it maybe not bad, and the best ones still have good gameplay, but pretty basic. And that's just my preference. I don't like narrative heavy games. I don't like, I'm very much a gameplay first kind of guy. And I'll admit, like the last indie showcase, it started with a lot of those, and I'm like, oh, not seeing anything for me yet.
Yeah, I was
You
on my
tried
couch
the
freaking
demo?
out the whole time. I was like, that was the perfect indie direct for me. It was like, I love a narrative game. I love Firewatch. I love Night in the Woods. I love Oxenfree. And so I'm watching that, and I'm like, oh, I'm just writing every game that I'm gonna want to buy down. Everything. Yeah.
It was okay for
And-
me. I mean, nothing really interested to me except the TMT game, and that was kind of cool. And Chris Tales is good. I might get that because I seen that game like on the Switch eShop for a long time, and it's kind of a cute anime game. 966. That was a fun trailer. That's all I remember. It was fun. It was okay.
Did anybody try the demo for Never Yield? I know Tim did. Tim's been tweeting about it.
Yep, I got
He's
a
trying to
video.
get
The
the
video's out on
show.
our YouTube channel, so I definitely got that out there. I got to play it.
What
And
take on it,
I
Dan?
hope y'all get the dev on Nintendo Dads, because that'd be a super cool
That's
interview.
the guy from Detroit, right?
Yes.
The one that gets mad if you call your game an NS runner. It's like, it's not an NS runner. It is an auto runner. And I was like, so it's basically like Temple Run? Because that's, or the new Crash game, they're both auto runners. You run around, but...
Well, I assume the difference being an
soundtrack.
endless runner is basically you just see how far you can go. It never ends. You just want to see how high your score goes. Whereas an auto runner, like there's still like levels to go through.
Points, yeah, points of to
Maybe
stop.
maybe it's like a Bit Trip game then, because like just to compare it to like Bit Trip, which is a fun game. I love Bit Trip. I think it's also considered indie
soundtrack,
too,
though.
right? Bit Trip, the Bit Trip
Yes.
games.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a fun. I'm a little peeved because they put all of them on the Switch. I think I said this to you. They put all of them on the Switch. I'm like, oh cool, they're gonna put the collection on them. But it's like all the separate games. I'm like, I have to buy each of these games separately. And it's like the eShop doesn't have like a cart, like on the PS4. You could just put them in the cart and then go one purchase. You have to like buy them separately. And I'm like, I'm too lazy for
Yeah,
that.
you don't have a folder to put them in on the home screen either.
I know. Don't get me started on that.
So Dan, what were you gonna finish saying about that? About Never Yield?
Oh, I was just gonna say you don't have that soundtrack though on those other games.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure the guy will put it on Bandcamp eventually. That's where all the indie games put their soundtracks.
Well, and that's kind of like what I'm saying with those is like I do appreciate some of that. You know, sometimes it's just not my thing, but that's, you know, sometimes I wish like, and maybe this happens. Maybe this happens. Maybe the bigger game studios say, hey, you know, I really like the work you did on the soundtrack for this game. Let's make a bigger game with that, you know.
Yeah.
Because it always seems like it's a little lopsided from my perspective. Like it's, you know, there's really good art, but you know, the actual game is not interesting to me. Say,
Okay, guys, I
And
just remember. Oh, sorry, this is wrong. I keep cutting you off.
if you can just put art that good in a game that I like, then sure, that's an awesome game.
No, I just remember something. Sorry to cut you off. Sorry. I just remember something. Speaking of indie games, this remind me of something. As I repeat myself 5 times. Have you guys
I'm just
ever
really
heard-
excited about what you're gonna say.
Because it just came out to my mind. Because okay, this is service. I'm like beating the bush today. Have you guys ever heard this service called IndieBox? Just curious.
A service called IndieBox?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So you know what a loot crate is, right?
Yes.
Okay, so so a long time ago, there used to be this company called IndieBox. It was similar to like Loot Crate, where like they would send you like a bunch of like memorability and stuff like that. But how it works instead was they will send you like each game was based on an indie game. So for example, one of them was Freedom Planet, and it will send you like a little card, and within the card was like the game itself. It will send like a manual. It will send you a bunch of random stuff for the game. It was like it's kind of like Loot Crate, but instead of like getting
Yeah, I
stuff
see
based
that.
on a specific theme. Yeah, they stopped doing it like I think like a few years ago. Now they think they're just a regular producer or something like that. But it was like so much fun. Like all the YouTubers were promoting it and stuff like that. I think I had it like for like a couple of months, but I was like low on cash. I couldn't really do it anymore. And I wanted it to do again, but then when I heard they were shutting it down, I'm like, oh man, guess I'm not doing that again. Let me check
All
my
those
closet.
crate box,
I have
all
one
the loot box type stuff, kind of all shut down at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I keep getting emails for like Loot Crate. I'm like, aren't they dead or something?
What are these things?
It's like that's like the 1-up box, right? Like
Yes.
back in-
Is that the one where like you get like a free 3 games each month or something?
No, 1-Up Box was just a collectibles type thing like Loot Box was. So, and I was in the Loot Box for like a year, 12, 15 months into it, and I had to stop because it was like they would send me all kinds of cool stuff, but it was like, okay, where am I gonna put all this cool stuff?
Yeah, that's my problem right now.
So I had to cut that off.
Give me a second.
But I did get every once in a while they'll do a special one, and they did a special one for God of War, and I got that one, and I was happy to get that one.
Yeah, I don't even think they do them anymore. I mean, didn't Loot Crate like go out of business or something?
I don't know.
Loot Crate's still around.
Cannot find.
They probably do something different. I know they have different loot crates now. They don't just specialize in the one loot crate. They have like a clothing loot crate and a housewares. I think one loot crate type thing.
Yeah, Loot Crate has been they've been having some difficulties with their logistics. From what I hear, like people are paying for their boxes, but some people are, getting them late or not getting them at all. I don't subscribe to their box, but I'm a big sock fan. And
they have the sock one. Yes.
I do get their socks, and I'm actually wearing
Found them.
a pair of this month's socks.
Oh, nice.
Wow, that's great.
She-Ra. The honor of Grayskull.
I had to give some of the boxes away because my parents kept nagging me to a big room in my room. But I kept at least a few of them. So like this is an example how it works. So they give you like this box, and then inside of it, it's like a bunch of random crap. Kind of cool. It's kind of like what Limited Run does with the limited edition stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Limited Run does a better job at it because they give a better presentation. This is more like, look at all the cool stuff you could get. Like what is this?
How many keychains do you need? Yeah.
Yeah, that's your keychain right here.
Yeah, I have 15 keychains. I don't know what to do with them.
And I haven't opened this box in a long time. But yeah, I mean nowadays Limited Run does things similar where like you could just get like a special edition. I remember like when they did the Scott Pilgrim run, I'm like, I'm gonna get the best edition for Scott Pilgrim. Then I saw it was like $400, so I'm like, never mind. I am not spending $400 on this goddamn game. I love Scott Pilgrim, and I'm not spending $400.
Yeah.
I think I got like the $80 one though, so at least I got something. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but I miss MD Box. It was a fun time because it was like I would like get like the box in my room. It's like, oh, what's in today's package? Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys get the limited run? Do you guys get the limited run things, or do you just get the game itself, or do you get like the special edition?
I don't have the disposable income for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't get
anything from them.
I don't get the special editions, but I do get a bunch of the physical runs on some of those things. Like if it's the right game, I get it.
Even a physical game, it's a pretty big markup. Like it's a tough sell for me.
New stuff's gonna be old stuff someday, Dan.
Well, when it is, maybe I'll buy it.
The problem with Limited Run is that they take forever to ship their stuff. It's like, I think I ordered like the Wander Song one, and that came in like 6 months later after I ordered. I'm like,
well, I mean, it's pick your poison. You can have this stuff sell out, and people want to order it, and they're out of stock, or you can take all the orders in advance and then make the product and then ship it, which takes a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Sam.
Spot on.
I mean,
back when Netflix was. Oh wait, never mind. Nope, belay that. GameFly. I remembered this is about GameFly. I had a GameFly account, and we would get games every now and then, but time came to sort of trim the fat from our family budget, and that was one of the things to go. But we did end up renting Celeste on it was on a limited run cartridge, and besides that, we also got let's see, what did we get? Super Mario Odyssey and Mario Kart. Octopath Traveler. Yeah, somehow Octopath Traveler and Super Mario Odyssey did not make it back to GameFly.
There are small cartridges, so.
Did they bill you for that, man?
What?
Did you get billed for it? Like, did you have to pay for it, or it just?
Yeah. They were wise. They caught on, but
they
have
have to.
Cool to have the limited run Celeste cart, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not like
even without.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, even without the box, it would have been cool just to have the cart.
Yeah, it's not like the old Blockbuster days where like you had people who were actually opening them up and swapping out like the Super Nintendo or whatever things, and you'd rent a game and it was not Clay Fighter, it was something else, or maybe it was Clay Fighter and you didn't want it to be. Maybe you wanted it to be Quest 64.
Pay to get the unscrew it, take the card out, and then put the new one in.
For the expensive games, yeah, they would get cheap games and swap them out. Yeah.
And their parents like try to learn how to do this properly. They're like, "I got you, son. Here you go." They would never find out and stuff like that. I feel like if we're gonna talk about indie games, we had to at least talk about Humble Bundle. You guys haven't brought them up yet.
That's how I played SteamWorld Dig for the first time on the 3DS.
Hey, is anyone subscribed to their Humble Bundle monthly? Kind of just curious. No, do you know what that is? It's like each month they give you like an X amount of games and you get to download any of them. Some of them are pretty good. Some of them are just like, I have never heard of these games before.
That sounds like a good way to establish a backlog.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, having a Steam account just gives you a backlog apparently, because it's like the
Yeah,
whole
holiday sales.
stereotype where like you have like so much games in your backlog from Steam. I'm starting to have that now. It's sad as it is.
Yeah, I'm. There's
I
quite a
didn't
few.
buy anything last Steam holiday sale, but I just like got flooded with some old stuff now. Like all the Kingdom Hearts games came to Epic Game Store, and they were even 20% off launch weekend, so I picked up some of those. And then like just the other day, Disney Afternoon Collection went on sale on Steam for like $6. So
And it's still not on the Switch.
yeah,
That is the biggest crime of a game. Not on Switch. That should
It's
be on
so
Switch.
crazy.
Like
It's so
part
crazy.
of
That game.
the reason why is because some of those games are owned by Capcom. If they release it,
No.
they have to pay Capcom, and they're like, we're not gonna pay Capcom. No.
No,
like,
they
what?
didn't. That I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think it had everything to do with them, because Capcom is the one who produced it, right? So it's not like they had that to worry about. I think it's more of it came out when the Switch was just coming out, and I think it was a game that they were like, oh well, let's wait and see, like a lot of companies were. Let's wait and see how the Switch does, and then we'll maybe put games on for it.
It's
published
5
it?
NES games. What are you waiting to see? I'm pretty sure there's minimum work that it takes to port 5 NES games.
And they
Capcom
still could do
publish
it,
it?
and it would still sell. I have it on PlayStation 4. I would buy it again in a second if it came to Switch.
Yeah.
Who published it?
And that's why we
Capcom,
can't have
Disney,
virtual
I think
console.
Capcom published.
I think
Capcom.
Capcom
Developer
did,
is
so-
Capcom with Digital Eclipse.
And
Well,
it's
why
not
the
like it's
heck-
been pulled from any other. It's not. It hasn't been pulled from any storefront. So they still have the, they still have the ability to do it. So I just don't understand why it's not on Switch.
I don't know. That sounds silly.
I mean,
It's
it ultimately always comes down to money. Whether it's because they don't want Nintendo to have that what Nintendo wants as a cut of sales, or
They
Nintendo
discount
doesn't
that
want to give
game.
them
They
something,
discount that
or
game to like $5 every time you turn around. So like on Steam and PlayStation and stuff. So I don't know. Whatever.
Capcom's gonna do what Capcom's gonna do.
Maybe they couldn't. Capcom could get the rights to the DuckTales because the reboot. Because I think the reboot came out at that time.
Capcom has the rights to it. They made the original game and they published the Disney Afternoon. They have all the rights. It's not a rights issue.
And since it's already on the other platforms, I don't think Disney would be holding anything up.
Is there a physical version of that?
No, I don't think so.
Nope. I know, and I love those. Are some of my favorite Nintendo games. Like I love all those Disney.
Yeah, and Darkwing Duck.
games.
Darkwing Duck's pretty expensive now. I think Darkwing Duck's like $40 or $50 loose. It's crazy.
Right.
Is Chippendale 2 on that?
Yeah, it is.
Because Chippendale 2 is like $100 cartridge.
$100. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I feel so bad because I didn't know what DuckTales. I didn't even knew DuckTales was an actual cartoon until like a year after I knew about the NES game. I'm like, wait, there's a cartoon to this game?
Well, it was a comic book before it was even a cartoon.
It was a whole Duck universe, man.
Yeah.
It's a Duck universe?
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean that's because it spun off to stuff like Darkwing Duck and all that.
And there's been comics long before it was a cartoon too.
Yeah, the Carl Barks did Scrooge McDuck and
some of those comics actually became plot lines for some of the original cartoon.
At this point, might as well just write a whole petition to Capcom or whoever owns the S2 collection. Like, put this on the Switch. We need this on the Switch. Literally, buy NES.
Go make it.
Or maybe Nintendo's just, or maybe, here's another option. Maybe Nintendo's gonna put them in their Switch Online service. Like,
no way.
No.
No way.
No. That'll never happen. No. It's not up to Nintendo anyway. That would be up to Capcom, and why would they do that when they're already selling them? Why would they give them to people for free?
It's not like Capcom's putting Mega Man on Switch Online.
Why would Capcom put all the Mega Man games on the Virtual Console and then make
Capcom's only putting the stuff on Switch Online they're not gonna release otherwise. Stuff like Breath of Fire.
Right. Yeah, but that's why there's no Mega Man games on the Switch Online.
Yeah, because it's the thing.
Because if you want them, you gotta buy the collection.
I think that's probably why they can't really have a Virtual Console anymore. Because like companies are doing collections back from back.
Well, I mean, companies are just doing it. It's just not all in one place.
Right.
You know?
That's people get
and
mad.
it is kind of irritating. It was nice to have everything there, and it was nice because Virtual Console kind of spread out the representation. Like, there's just a bajillion arcade games on Switch now.
Sam, was that you that put together that spreadsheet?
Yeah, I mean, I was just curious myself, so I just kind of started it. Anybody else, feel free to update that. But
I mean, people get
it's
mad
interesting, and there's always different ways to count things. But yeah, by count, I mean there are more legacy games on Switch than there ever were on Virtual Console, on Wii or Wii U, or 3DS even.
And people get mad at Nintendo for it, but I really don't think it's Nintendo holding up.
But
everybody's
at the same time, there are games
Nintendo.
that were on Virtual Console that you can't buy on Switch now, and that
yes,
I get why people are upset
about that. A lot of them are not right. I do too, but a lot of them are not made by Nintendo or licensed by Nintendo.
All those TurboGrafx games are gone.
Right. Now you can be upset because they haven't added any other, Game Boy or Game Boy Color or whatever.
Well, or even just like, there were
Nintendo
64 games before. You could buy Star Fox 64 on the Wii Virtual Console.
Right.
You can't buy it on Switch in any form.
You get a lot of TurboGrafx games on the Wii U Virtual Console. They were still releases them even when the Switch came out. So.
Yeah. But I mean, now there's a TurboGrafx Mini out, so if you want them, that's currently your option.
Is there though?
I don't think you can find it.
I can't find
you can even
one.
buy.
It's out. It just
You
there
can even
aren't
buy,
enough
dare
of
I
them.
say, an analog
It's an object that
TurboGrafx.
exists.
Well, and that's my issue with those. I'm actually a fan of just do a bare bones emulation and do it for cheap and put it out there. I think that's the best way to keep stuff accessible. Now you do have an issue with these generational leaps of is that still going to be there, because backwards compatibility is never guaranteed, and are we just going to charge people again, and nobody ever feels good about that. But I think that's the most effective way, because I think digital is great in a lot of ways because you don't have to be limited by the quantity you can produce in a year with a chip shortage and scalpers who have bots that can do if you're distributing digitally, you don't have to worry about any of that.
Right.
The only thing you have to worry about is getting the actual device to play those digital games on.
Well, and ultimately, digital, all of people's problems with digital are not technological problems. They are legal problems.
Right.
All of the issues with digital happen because of measures taken to prevent piracy.
I kind of like going digital. It's convenient. That's why I kind of got a little annoyed when I got my Axiwata book physical, because I'm like, I prefer to get this digital. I don't think that's really what you're talking about, but we're talking about digital stuff now, right?
Yeah, it's something I think about a lot now, because I see the point, hanging out with the people at RetroLogic. I know everybody's pro physical there, but I think especially modern games, it's tricky.
We are
even
agnostic.
your delayed release physical like limited run collector's edition of a game like Streets of Rage 4 is not complete because that game's getting DLC.
But Sam, what would I have to spend
It's
all
not
night
on the
cleaning
cartridge.
if not my physical video games?
You just run a program that says verify files of the game.
Super fun.
Well, guys, let me do this. I'm not ending the conversation. What I want to do is end the stream. And in order to end the stream, I want to do the toast that I usually do before we end the stream.
Cup. Be right there. Hold on.
All right. So make sure you guys get all your drinks so I can end anybody who's been watching on our streams for the past almost 3 hours now. So, but then again, we can
cover my kitchen. But it's
when we toast, we can always continue on with the cocktail hour afterwards. So we can continue that conversation.
We can talk about the Iwata book I haven't read yet. I'll read it eventually.
We'll be talking about whatever we want to talk about. So with that, may your gaming time be plentiful and fun, your backlog short, and you and your families blessed. And good night to those who are watching, and for the rest of you staying, let's enjoy the cocktail hour. Good night.
Salute.
Night.
Night.
Pour some for the homies.
He's pouring one out for the homies.
It's empty, so I'm pouring invisible water, I guess.
Tim, is that the mango? Is that the mango Pepsi?
Oh yeah, it's the 0 one. Yep.
Yeah,
0 one.
I tried that the other day, and it was like drinking Bubblicious gum. It's the weirdest flavor
That sounds
ever.
nasty.
Yeah, it was so
I
weird.
gotta find that.
I was
I gotta find
actually
that in the
surprised how much I like it, because
it's actually it's not bad, but I was like, I didn't know what to expect, and I was like, mango, and then I sniffed it, and I was like, oh, this smells like I'm 8, and I'm just putting three cubes in my mouth of Bubblicious gum. Yeah.
I